Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay?
Now you're more fluent.
He got free!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Heyo! I don't know if you knew this. I told you I was going to surprise you with this. Did you know that Chilltown's Hoops' real name is Jermaine Jackson and he used to play for the Bucks?
I did not.
Congratulations, brother.
Somebody giving you some bad information. Now
I had no idea.
Somebody giving you guys some bad information. Well, some of that is true. Okay, first of all, that's actually how I got my name. I was born in the early 70s, and for anybody who knows, in the early 70s, the group, the Jackson 5, was what's it. And my aunt, that's my mother's sister, she had the most ridiculous crush on Jermaine Jackson. So much so that
it was Jermaine.
Yeah, she had, oh my God, Jermaine Jackson was her guy. She loved that dude, 100%.
Right.
So much so that she begged my mother in the delivery room to name me Jermaine. And my mother agreed only by one condition: if you get out.
Out of the delivery room.
Yes, you got to get out. That was the deal. So that's how it ended up happening. And that was my name. Because my original name was going to be Robert. I know, Bob Womack. I know that sounds crazy. But yes, that was going to be my name. I was going to be Bob. But
yeah, I think they made the right choice.
I don't know if Bob comes off the tongue like Jermaine does.
I have a feeling you would tell people, call me Robert.
Or yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't think you go with like Bob.
No.
Bob Woe. B Woe. Like, it's just
Whoa. No, that's not.
Yeah, Bo Woe. Yeah, Bo. Yeah,
Bo-wo.
yeah. Oh no. Yeah,
so
I don't.
much.
I don't like that at all. But yes, it was interesting because someone said, "Hey, you know this guy, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And they're like, "Is that really?" And I said, "Look at the picture. No, it's not him." But that's why I tell people, you cannot just. I Googled it. You cannot trust the internet. You cannot trust Wikipedia because you can go on and change Wikipedia. I don't know if you know.
On the spot.
You can go edit it. And so there's stuff like this that's out there. And that's why I say, like, you're so worried about AI. When you go and use Chat GPT as an example, or another one of those AI things, you have to double check the work, because you're going to write an article about my man Chill, and it's going to be wrong because you're going to say, this is Jermaine Jackson of the Milwaukee Bucks, also known as Chilltown Hoops.
Nope, that's not him.
And that's incorrect. We have, so I thought you would enjoy that. I figured you'd enjoy that.
Good stuff.
Because you're the actual Chilltown Hoops. You're not this Jermaine Jackson, who's he played in the league. Good for him. But speaking of Chilltown Hoops, there's a t-shirt that's out at fluent.me. Go check it out. I'm sure it's in the banner. Oh, let me put the banner so you can see what the heck it is.
Check that out.
I don't know the damn link. It's nice, right?
Yeah.
And we have some very, very impressive creative team here at Chilltown Hoops / Sports Fluent / Fluent and Chill. Who is it? Oh, it's me. Yeah, that's right.
This dude right here.
Thank you very much. Can I get some applause?
My man wants some commotion about the shirt. Yes. Can we give him a little bit of commotion about the shirt, please? Thank you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm the shirt god. All right, so we've got Team USA.
Yep.
We've got we could talk about the draft too. We could talk about Paul George and his move into the Sixers. Anywhere you want to start, today is going to be Chill's choice. That's what the episode should have been called. Because we're also going to talk about some other things. Obviously, you saw the headline, I'm him, with Cooper Flagg and Anthony Edwards. We're definitely going to talk about that. And I have a clip too, so let's, But go ahead.
Tom, people think that, when the NBA champion is crowned, that's the end of the season, and the season is over, and there's no more basketball.
Oh, that's when the fun begins.
That's when it absolutely begins right there. When you have the draft, and you got free agency, and you got summer league, and then we have the luxury of having an Olympic summer, so that's even better. So even more material to talk about. So, Tone, I want to start with the summer league, right? So I've seen some guys in the summer league that, and a lot of people don't, they don't really take the summer league. They only take it for what it's worth. It's the summer league. There's a bunch of free agents. It's a bunch of guys who, half the guys aren't probably going to be on NBA rosters, but there are some guys, some gems that you'll see in the summer league and go, you know what? I think he's going to help these guys. And one of those guys that I watched, which was yesterday, I watched the Memphis. I watched the Memphis
Grizzlies?
Oklahoma. Yeah, I watched the Memphis Oklahoma City game yesterday, and no, not Memphis Oklahoma City. I'm sorry, Memphis Utah game yesterday. Tone, Zach Edey is going to be an immediate impact on the Memphis Grizzlies.
Saying that for 2 years.
He's going to be in fact, ladies and gentlemen, Tone and I actually had a conversation with Mrs. Fluent, and I had mentioned a couple of months ago that maybe, just maybe, if Zach Edey fell into the Toronto Raptors' lap, you should absolutely bag him.
100%.
And
100%.
she was like, ding, 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 ding. She was like, yes. And turns out he was already off the board by the time Toronto picked. So he was already gone. But Tone, I watch him, and he plays like a big man. He creates a lot of space. He knows how to not just get big, he knows how to stay big around the basket. He cleans glass. He rim protects. A lot of people think because he's big, and these are the guys that we talked about in the past, the people who don't really watch games, what they do, Tone, is they find out he's 7'4", 7'3", and they automatically think slow. Automatically. They think slow, they think non-athletic. When in reality, he's the complete opposite of that. He gets up and down the floor with the best of them. He's the consummate rim runner. Not only is he the consummate rim runner, I think that's going to be the big deal for Memphis next year, because he's going to speed them up just with his ability to rim protect, his ability to clean glass. When he gets the ball off the glass, throwing the ball out to Ja, getting the ball out to Desmond Bane, and speeding them up. I think he was a steal at number 9.
The fact that people were talking about him going late in the first round, in the early second round, and his draft, I kept saying there's no way, because the West GMs, I keep telling you, the East GMs are dumb. The West GMs are smart, right? If we look at what they do, they're significantly smarter than the East, right? Like they took Paul George coming off an injury and got him on a steal, right? A Philadelphia East GM, it gives him $100 million, however much the hell he gave him, and he's going to be garbage now. So it's just like night and day. But here's the thing. Zach Edey, and I've said this to you, he's a throwback type of center, right? He's a big center who's going to set screens and rebound, but he has very soft touch around the rim. Right. Is he going to get exposed against a team like Miami that has a 6'9" center? 100%. 100%. He's going to struggle defensively there. They're going to have to find ways to, they're going to have to switch a lot, make sure that he stays whoever's down low and use his size. They're going to do that. But here's the thing. And one of the things we don't talk about enough in basketball circles, he's going to turn a team that we know when Memphis gets out and runs, especially with Ja, they're phenomenal, but they do struggle in the half court. He's going to turn a half court offense into like I don't want to say a full court offense, but just picture this. Ja's going to have the ball at the top of the circle, because you know how far back we all play now, right? It's not like the old days where we're up at the 3-point line. We're back at the logo. So he's going to have the ball at the logo. Zach Edey, 7'4", 250, whatever, 80 pounds, whatever the heck he's going to be when the season starts, is going to come up to about top of the key-ish, between, I say, the top of the circle and the 3-point line, somewhere in that range. Ja's going to take 2 steps. His defender, who's also going to be 6 foot nothing, 100 and nothing pounds, is going to ram into Zach Edey, and now Ja is on the break. And guess what? Everybody else is going to have to collapse. And if they don't, he's going to have an easy layup or dunk, or he's going to kick it out to those guys that can make open threes. Sure. It's going to change their half court offense in those little kinds of ways, because he's not just a big rebounder. And if they do, do something different where they say, hey, we're not going to play that, then he just rolls down. If he's in one-on-one, he's going to turn and give you that little baby hook all day. No
Sure,
problem.
absolutely.
Here you go. And so I really like the pick for Memphis. I wish he would have gone to a bunch of other teams.
Toronto in particular.
Toronto in particular. LA wouldn't have drafted it, but LA would have been. You put Zach Edey next to AD. I'm just telling you, I'm very happy with my team. But yes, and bringing him home would have been nice. And when you spoke to Mrs. Fluent, we had the advantage of seeing him throughout the years, and then followed him when he was at Purdue. So I think although he's an old school player, there's so many, to your point, so many 7-footers coming out that you're going to need some of these big guys. Like you're going to need a guy like him against Jokic. You're going to need a guy, right? You're going to need these guys when you're going against Minnesota when they're with their two bigs. Although one's a stretch, he can easily guard Rudy Gobert. You know what I mean?
Around the basket,
Yeah, so he's not going to be, I think, exposed by when I look at the elite teams. I love my Lakers, but how does Anthony Davis do against a big defensive center? Typically not very well.
He struggles against Embiid. He does. He struggles against Embiid. He struggles against Joker, especially not just big centers, big physical centers. And watching Zach Edey, number one, Tone, I don't think he's going to struggle defensively as much as people think he is. One, he's a lot more athletic than I thought. I thought that I knew he was athletic, but he's a lot more athletic than I thought. And I feel like he can guard. Around that mid post, around that mid range area. Now, when you drag him into the deep water, now that might be a little bit something different where we are 22, 24 feet away from the basket. Okay, that might be something a little bit different.
If I can interrupt you to say, but if you turn, let's use Embiid as an example. If he's matching up against Philly and you turn Embiid into a guy who has to go out into the deep water, we know he can make those shots.
Right.
If he's living out there, I'm living
cool
with that. I'm cool with that, right?
I'm so cool with that. So I think that for your example with Miami, for example. So Miami, they get the big kid from Indiana. So I think they move Bam to the 4, which is actually
years.
You and I have been having this conversation forever, Tone, where and I think that their offense changes too. But with that being said, I think that with him now moving to the 4, now they got a big guy in Khalil Ware who I don't think Zach Edey will struggle against guys like that because I feel like him being in the mid-range, I feel like him being in the mid-post, he's got really good recovery skills. You know how I feel about a defender who can recover. Because in this league, contrary to popular belief, in this league, you are going to get beat. And I need to see how you recover when you get beat. A lot of guys, one of the main reasons why they aren't good defenders is because they suck at recovering. Once they get beat, they're out of the play. And I don't think that's the case with this guy. He has the unique ability as a big to block shots and keep the ball in bounds. He's not smacking the ball into the 3rd or 4th row. He's not doing that. On top of that, Tone, we're talking about a league where you just mentioned where the offense starts at the logo. Well, what kind of action are we running? The action that we're running more times than not is pick and roll. For a rook, Zach Edey is one of the better screeners that I've seen, especially big screeners. Yes, you did. And so the fact that him being able to work with Ja, him being able to work with guys like Jaren Jackson, cross screening on the block, and Jaren Jackson now gets to move out and be more of a stretch 4, very much like what Cat is doing in Minnesota. I think he makes an immediate impact. So I don't think that he's not the project that I thought he was. I think that he makes an immediate impact.
I think he might even be a day one starter.
Oh, 100%. I believe that.
And that is something that, people didn't think and this is what you have to do in these types of drafts where there isn't, a consensus number one. Everyone said, oh, it's a weak draft. It's a weak draft. Okay. You might not be getting a generational talent at 1, 2, 3, but you're going to get a guy somewhere 7, 9, 12, 17, right? 2nd round that is going to make a difference on a team. Now, is he going to be an elite player, MVP, no. Maybe all defensive, but I don't think he's like an all NBA player. Who knows today? But that being said, he's a type of guy that's going to make a difference. And we keep talking about this every single week. You're going to have your star 2, 3. You're going to have, 4, 5. It's about 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are the guys that make the difference for 1, 2, and 3, because we've seen teams with 1, 2, and 3 superstars or superstar caliber players.
Sure.
Who I don't like, and it doesn't work because the other guys are the ones that make that difference.
Yes, and to your point, okay, this is very much, and I know this may sound crazy, Tone, but this is very much like what Magic stepped into. Now, I don't think Zach Edey is the player that Magic is, but that thing that they needed, because remember, Memphis isn't destitute. Okay, they get their whole crew back next year. This is the thing that they're missing because Steven Adams is now in Houston. So they need a 5-man, right? And they have a backup 5-man in Brandon Clark, but they don't have an actual 5-man. Now I feel like they do, and I feel like he fits perfect for what they're doing, both offensively and defensively. He speeds them up. He gives them a guy that they can go to for buckets. Tone, I'm watching him like you talked about with a big guy around the basket. I'm watching him around the basket get big and be a big guy. I'm looking at him thinking to myself, he is going to collapse the defense, and that thing is going to open up so much wider for guys like John Moran. That thing is going to give guys like Desmond Bane way more shots. That thing is going to give guys like Jaren Jackson even better looks in the mid-range. And even at the long ball line, that's going to stretch those guys out even more as offensive players stretch their offense out. And I'm pretty sure what it reminds me of, Tone, and you know how I feel about the big man. It's like when Bill Walsh was watching Jerry Rice in college, and he was already, before they drafted him, he was drawing up plays, looking at this guy going, man, wait till if we can get this guy, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I feel like Coach Finch and down in Memphis, looking at Zach Edey and what kind of impact he can have as a legit big, how they can put him in the mid post, how they can put him in the mid range, how they can speed their game up. Oh man, I think he's going to be an immediate impact player for that Memphis Grizzlies team.
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. I'm glad we talked.
Yes.
Now let's hope we're both right.
Yes.
Next year's draft. There's a kid coming out.
Yep.
Cooper Flagg. And I've been hearing about Cooper for years now. It seems like he's been on the radar forever, and he still hasn't played a game
right.
For Duke, let alone the NBA. What you've watched a lot of Cooper Flagg.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already got guys in the comments. Look at this.
Hello, dear.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Look at that. Asking you shall receive.
Mm-hmm.
Our people, he's going to Brooklyn. Chicago should tank for him.
Mm-hmm. The thing that a lot of people, and I'm sure you got it. I'm gonna let Tone finish what he has to say, but first of all, I didn't know he was only 17. I didn't know that. He didn't turn 18 until December, Tone. I didn't know that.
Really?
That's news. Yeah, I didn't know that. He doesn't turn 8. He reclassified, so he's actually a grade ahead. He's supposed to be a senior in high school.
He's supposed to be a senior in high school this year. He's going to be a freshman in college.
Yes,
okay.
So he reclassified. 6'9", 6'10". Put it on the floor with the best of them. Ridiculous athlete. Finished with the best of them. And the question that I had when I saw him to the masses was, is he special? Because again, what the NBA has been trying to do for years, Tone, and this goes back to when Bird was in the league, right? This goes back to when Bird was in the league. The NBA, it's necessary for the NBA to have an American white player who's awesome. That's why the NBA was as popular as it was.
Is it still necessary?
Are
we still there?
I think that here's the thing, Tone. I think it's still necessary. I just feel like it's one of those things where people have kind of forgotten about it. But when it comes back, how much bigger a deal it's going to be, and be like, damn, we forgot how much we needed this. How big of a deal this was.
Since Bird. Mm-hmm. Who have we had?
And that's the thing, Tone. Okay, so when you talk about when Bird was in the league, how popular the game was, and then you move into the 90s where you had guys like Stockton, Chris Mullin, let's see, Craig Elo.
They couldn't hold a candle to the popularity of Jordan in the 90s.
But here's the difference with that, Tone, is remember who we're talking about here in terms of the fanfare. You said this to me a while ago where we talked about like water cooler people.
Okay.
She knows who Steph Curry is.
The casuals.
Right.
Yeah.
He knows who Jordan is. They know who Bird is. And the fact that you know who Bird is and he looks like you, because if you think about these arenas in Minnesota, you think about these arenas in Utah, who are they filled up with? I can tell you who they're not filled up with, Tone. They ain't filled up with people who look like me. They're not. They're filled up with people.
Yeah, it's about 60 something percent. Now it's down. It used to be 70, but it's 60 something percent of white America, which makes sense because America is still majority.
Sure.
Right. So that's not a surprise because when you're in a country of how many people you got? 330
million. Yep.
When 60-70% of them are white, it's going to look like that's a lot of people.
Of course it is. So when I look at the consumer, because Tone, you're a businessman, who are your consumers? This is what they look like. And why are they buying our product? They're buying our product because they can relate to it. That's why Bird was such a big deal. Sure. Then you move into the 90s.
Well, we're seeing it in the WNBA right now with Caitlin Clark. Although there were other white players, like let's not disrespect Sabrina Ionescu and Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, all those other. But here's a girl from Iowa that doesn't look like. No offense, she doesn't look like much. She's
Middle America.
She's Middle America, just regular looking girl, and she's shooting like Steph, right? Yep. In the description of it, and so it's.
Which, by the way, Tone, to your point, I mean, I don't know if it gets more Larry Bird than Cooper Flagg. If you think about it, I'm not sure, Tone, if it gets more Larry Bird than that. So when you're moving from the 90s into the 2000s, we got guys like Wally Zerbiak, right? We got guys like Gordon Hayward, Brad Miller. So the league is now moving.
None of those guys are star players, though.
That's the point, Tone. That's the point right there. None of those guys are star players. Can
you go back to the 90s? Because you completely skipped my guy.
Well, you got Tom Chambers,
Keith Van Horn, bro.
Right.
Come on, give me some
Horn.
Socks. He was the next great white hope.
When I played in college, Keith Van Horn is the best college player that I ever played against, and I played against some pretty good college players.
6'9", 6'10", could shoot, could dribble, like he was the dude. Yeah,
Keith Van. So these are the guys that we're talking about: Keith Van Horn, John Stockton. I mean, just guys like that. And then we move into the 2010s, and now we got the influx of the Euro. So now it's basically almost like white America is almost ousted. So now here comes Cooper Flagg, and he's going to bring that back.
So do you think there's going to be a huge influx of viewers, of jersey sales, of interest from middle America that is like, oh, as much as I love Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, who are, American born, and look, we're not knocking Luka Doncic, Joker, whatever. We're not knocking any of those guys, but you think there's going to be a large portion of middle America that looks at Cooper Flagg and says, wow, if he is half as good as they say he is, we're jumping on this bandwagon. A
lot of the players, a lot of the quote unquote white players, one of the main reasons why they aren't as prevalent is because they can't really relate. I mean, don't get me wrong, Steph looks like you in terms of height and stature, but does he really look like you? As opposed to Cooper Flagg, as opposed to Larry Bird, as opposed to like when you
when you look at the problem when you look at it's interesting because when you look at Steph,
right,
he looks tiny,
right,
by NBA standards, and then we're like, but he's our size, and we're 6'3". I'm a lot heavier than you.
Steph Curry is in the 1%. Steph Curry is in the 1% of population. He's 6'3".
Did you see my video where he's like,
I did see that, and
I'm the 1% of the 1%. I'm a happy dude.
I actually went and did some homework, and I'm like, really? I didn't know that I'm in the 1% of the 1%. That's pretty dope. That's what's going on. But to Cooper Flagg, the NBA needs this, and the NBA needs this.
You're not mad at this?
Oh, 100%. First and foremost, I was a big time Larry Bird fan. 100%. I was a huge
you
Larry Bird
agree with
fan.
Isaiah and Dennis Rodman, who said if he was black, he'd be just another player?
No,
I just watched that Bad Boy documentary again 2 days ago, so it's fresh in my mind.
Yep.
How much it was Dennis Rodman who said it, and they just kind of brushed it off because that's Dennis being Dennis. But when Isaiah reiterated it for him and stood by him, made them a better team. But man, they made Isaiah the villain. Like, you wonder why he didn't make Team USA. Jordan didn't want him there. Pippen didn't want him there. Magic didn't want him there. And Bird might have been in the shadows going like, I don't want him either.
No, I'm 100% sure that that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure that a lot of those guys said that. And at that time, Tone, I'm in high school, and quietly, I'm saying in my head, I don't know what the hell Isaiah Thomas is talking about, because Bird is awesome. Bird is not just a good player, and we talking about him because he's white. No, that is not what's going on. But outwardly, I was like, I really wasn't saying much. It wasn't like
that wasn't a fight you needed to fight.
Right. I really wasn't saying much, but in my head, I was like, yo, you wow for that. Bird is awesome.
But I looked at it this way. I looked at it as, because I hated Bird, right? I'm a Lakers fan, so I hated Bird. I hated the Celtics. So I was like, yeah, he's right. Yeah. But at the same time, I was like, good for Isaiah, because if he would have said, no, Dennis Rodman's nuts, that creates a divide in the team. So he did the right thing by the Pistons and his teammates.
Sure.
But I could see how the masses were like, I can't believe you just said that.
Yes.
You're crazy. And they gave him a hard time for it. They gave him a really hard time for it.
It could have ruined his career. It could have wrecked Isaiah. A Bird could have come on television and gotten his feelings and said how.
Well, he kind of did. He kind of did in a Larry Bird sort of way, because they had the press conference during the NBA Finals, right? Mm-hmm. And they had a press conference with Bird and Isaiah coming together, and Isaiah to apologize, and that's not what he meant, and he had that kind of laugh. And if you notice, once he does that kind of sarcastic "fu" laugh, which has just always been Isaiah's laugh, I can't believe I'm defending Isaiah, but I will. He didn't do anything necessarily bad with that laugh. Bird was like, okay, I'll leave you to it. And he was out.
He's gone.
He's like, I'm out.
He was out.
He kind of did say, your apology. Listen, I got to worry about the NBA Finals here. You can figure out the press conference on your own. I got a game to play. So
I feel like with a guy like Cooper Flagg, him coming into the league as young as he is, which is what the NBA has now been predicated on, because what they're doing is they're drafting on talent. Even though a lot of these GMs would love for these guys to stay in school, they're drafting on talent. In the process of them drafting on talent, you got this influx of Euros. You got people you got guys who look like me, and there's very little guys who look like Cooper Flagg, right? So now you got a guy who looks like Cooper Flagg, who's a damn good player from Maine, right? From Maine. Right, he's from Maine. So
the more eastern part of the United States, by the way, I don't know if you saw my geography TikTok post. I got perfect on that one. Is Maine, and okay. How much of Cooper Flagg have you watched?
Enough to see that I think he's special.
What makes him? When you look at him, because I know this is your question for me, so I'm going to flip it and ask you.
Yep.
When you look at him, what is it? What are the characteristics you see in him, or that you look for, that tells you this kid has it?
Right. You can't teach.
Hyper superstar, I think you called it.
Sure. You can't teach it, right? I don't think that you can teach it. You either have it or you don't. And what that it is it's the walk, it's the way you carry yourself, it's your motor. It's your IQ. It's your feel for the game. You can't really teach it. You either had Bryant had it. If you never saw him, or you just started watching basketball in 1996, you started watching the NBA in 1997, you saw him. He has it.
Yeah, you would have been like, there's something about him.
Yes. James had it. Jordan had it. Like, you see these guys, Isaiah, these guys, they have that thing that you're looking for. And when we get to the basketball stuff, I feel like we could teach you the other stuff, right? I've always been, and I feel like I'm in the minority when I say this. I've always felt like, Tone, I can teach you how to block out. I can teach you how to defend. I can teach you how to pass. I can't teach you how to run fast and jump high. I can't teach you how to have that it thing. I can't teach you how to look like that.
I can't teach you to want it, is what I would say.
No.
I can show you how to properly shoot the ball, pass the ball, whatever, footwork. Those are teachable skills, but I can't make you want to do it. And it's interesting that you brought that part up, because the one thing this clip just sticks in my head from the Team USA, because we're going to talk about Team USA in a minute. But they were playing, obviously, these guys, and Cooper Flagg was on the college team, and he's baseline. He turns, I want to say, to his right shoulder to shoot a baseline, gets blocked, ball gets tipped away from him, and instead of like dropping his head and running back on defense, he stays in the play, and like a second later gets it and he's dunking it baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Those are those little tiny things that if you get rid of, oh my God, I got blocked, or oh my God, I got dunked on, because everyone wants to throw those on Twitter and highlights and laugh at people like, oh, look at Giannis getting dunked on. Look at LeBron James getting dunked on by Jamal Murray. No, that needs to happen. If you're playing defense, if you're going, that's going to happen. You're going to get blocked. You're going to get dunked on. That means you're trying. So the fact that he got blocked in that type of game with those guys around him, where no one would have blamed him 1 second if he got blocked. Because I wish I could remember if it was like Rudy Gobert or who the hell blocked him, but it was an NBA superstar. That's the Team USA is filled with them.
Right.
It blocks him. He easily could have just been like, okay, they blocked me. Let me get back on defense.
As a 17-year-old, by the way.
As a 17-year-old, no, he stuck with it. So those are the plays that I think make a difference. Those are the plays.
I feel like I just feel like when I see a guy, and I do have an eye for talent. A lot of people who watch, especially if you've been watching basketball for a long time, you have an eye for talent. You can tell if a guy has that it thing. You can tell if the athleticism is there. You can tell if the skill set can be there, because a lot of times we're dealing in potential. We're not dealing in what's going on right now. And when I watch Cooper Flagg, I feel like he has that it thing. And as good as Keith Van Horn was, and I think he's the best college player that I ever played against, I don't really feel like that it thing was there.
You can tell he was great, but he didn't have that. And also, conversely, I've told you this, right? We've talked about this at nauseum, so I'll keep it brief, right? Like Allen Iverson still has my ankles, yes. and but you knew right away when you were on the court with him.
Yes,
he had a different gear that everybody else didn't have, and so that's why you can't explain it, which sucks, because everyone wants to put a number on it and be able to measure it, and you can't. No, right? You just it's
a part of it. I just feel like that it thing, you can't teach it. And Cooper Flagg being 6'9", being athletic, having a lot of heart, having a lot of confidence, going out there against Team USA, and these are some of the best players in the league, and having enough confidence.
This might be the best Team USA we've ever seen.
That's what I'm talking about. And to go out there against these guys and have that competitiveness about him, where he doesn't, even if he is nervous, even if he is afraid, he didn't look like it at all. He looked like a ball player. Yeah. He looked like a guy who, you against me, listen, I might be young, but I'm with this. And he didn't shy away from the competition, which is another aspect of having that it factor, where it's honed. What I mean when I say that, Tone, is I'm talking about a guy who the competition that I had, the competition level that I have in me, it's honed and it's controlled rage. I don't let it get out of control where I'm doing stuff I go off the rails. No, I'm like you just mentioned, I get my shot blocked. Instead of complaining and crying, no, I get right back into play. That's the competition aspect of it. Yeah. And I feel like this kid has that. And I like what I see from him. I do. I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure, Tone, initially about him, because, again, he's a kid. And not only is he a kid playing at that level, I mean, I'm not sure. Is he special? But the more I watch him, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, if I'm the Chicago Bulls,
let's play that game for a second. Mm-hmm. While I pull I want to pull up last year's standings, mind you, and we're going to talk about who might be the 5 worst teams and what he would mean to those 5 teams. But before I do that, are you concerned at all that he's going to Duke? And the reason I ask you that is look, very, very, very few exceptions. Big name players that come out of Duke don't necessarily fare that well in the NBA. It's kind of like the Ohio State of football with quarterbacks. They don't necessarily do great in the pros. Is that just...
It's not. And for me, it's not off the strength that when I watch him, one, he's not going to be there that long. So this isn't a situation where I think he's going to be there for years. No, that's not going to be the case. He's not going to be there that long. And two, he may not even need school. Like when I saw Zion is a prime example of a kid like James, like Bryant, like KG. If I'm being honest with you, Tone, I feel like he might be wasting his time going to school.
He has no other choice.
Right. At this point, I do understand
for
that.
A year. Yeah, he has to
Right.
do something for a year.
He does have to go to school. But there are guys like when I saw Zion at Duke, I'm thinking to myself, why is this guy in school? I think he's wasting his time here. And I feel like that's going to be the case with Cooper Flagg. I feel like he's going to be one of those guys who he's wasting his time in school. I don't think the Duke effect is going to have that much effect on him because he's only going to be there. To be honest with you, he's only going to be there for 2 semesters, and he's going to be gone. The only reason why he's going is because he's got to go to school.
Duke players have been amazing in the league. What is Tone on? Have they?
Mm-mm.
Have they?
Mm-mm. That's not true.
Prove me wrong, Ray Star with 2 R's. Ray Star. Prove me wrong because I said with some exceptions, and look, some of it is due to injury, right? Grant Hill, injuries. I get it. He would have been phenomenal.
Jay Williams.
Right. Yeah. But they just didn't pan out. For whatever reason, It just didn't pan out.
We can go down the line of we can go down the line of Duke players. Chris
We'll wait for Ray to respond with the ones that did amazing because, like I said, with very, very few exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to eliminate everyone that finished kind of above 500.
Right.
Everyone that finished above 500. And in the past 10 years, I think the best Duke player is Kyrie. And didn't he get hurt? What did he play? 2 games at Duke?
10 games he played at Duke.
10 games? Come on.
10 games he played at Duke. So you said, Tone, you're 86 in all the teams that finished over 500.
Yeah,
right?
any team that finished over 500, I'm going to eliminate for this, unless you think there's one that's going to finish first overall. Yeah, JJ Redick is not a star, guys. And we're going to get to JJ Redick, his lying ass, in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Tatum, I would agree, is the exception. Kyrie, like I said, played 5 seconds there. Brendan Ingram, Zion, Again, what has Zion done? What has Ingram done? Right. You know, Tatum is Tatum. Okay, I'll give you Tatum.
Yeah.
But the naysayers will say,
think about what the narrative is.
He didn't even win Finals MVP.
Right. But think about what the narrative is on Jason Tatum right now.
I did say
nuts to me. You know, I'm a Jason Tatum guy.
I know you love Jason Tatum, and that's why I said that's why I said there's some exceptions. Like it's not an absolute. But here's the teams in the East that finished under 500. So let's see if we can pick 1 or 2 from the East, 1 or 2 from the West, because we can't talk about all 10 teams. Okay, sure. The Bulls, the Hawks, the Nets, the Raptors, the Hornets, the Wizards, the Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think are the bottom 2 teams in that bunch?
I think Detroit's going to be better next season. I think the Wizards and Brooklyn are going to be at the bottom of the league next year.
The Wizards and Brooklyn? Okay.
Brooklyn are going to be at the bottom of the league next year.
All right. FYI, Austin, you're proving my point. None of those guys are star players. Mm-hmm. You don't think the Raptors can bring Cooper Flagg to wave a Canadian flag? No?
Tone, to be honest with you, Tone, I like what you guys are doing up there in Toronto. I do.
At least one person does.
I do like what you guys are doing up there.
Charlotte Hornets.
LaMelo Ball is going to have to be healthy for me. He's the linchpin in this whole thing.
If he's not, that's what I'm saying. Did they not finish?
If he's not there at the bottom of the league again, and on top of them being at the bottom of the league, I'm out on LaMelo Ball. I'm out.
Yeah, I've been out. Okay, so sorry, you said who? Brooklyn and who?
Brooklyn and Washington.
Brooklyn and Washington. Okay,
yep.
You're not going to get an argument from me. Okay, in the West, teams under 500. It's a much shorter list. Utah. Wow, wouldn't he be great in Utah? Him and Flip.
He would be damn good in Utah.
So Utah, Memphis,
yep,
San Antonio, Portland.
Mm-hmm. Well, so number one, San Antonio is not going to be at the bottom of the league next year.
I think they won the offseason.
Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be a lot. They're going to be a lot better. A team that I do think isn't going to be very good next year, and I know this sounds ridiculous. I don't think the Warriors are going to be very good next year. I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the lottery. I don't know if they're going to be bottom of the Western Conference, but I would not be surprised if they missed the playoffs again and were in the lottery.
Is there? I don't have it top of mind. Don't in front of me either. Is there any weird trade scenarios that someone that's a better team gets a unprotected first round pick next year from one of the bottom teams? Do we know about any of these? We'll do some research maybe if you don't know top of mind.
Well, Houston, they already gave Brooklyn already got their picks back from Houston. Those from the James Harden trade. And Philly, I believe Brooklyn still has their picks from James Harden after they got Ben Simmons. They got their picks back from them. So there aren't any weird trades that I know about right now, except for if I'm not mistaken, the Pelicans. I think they gave you guys, the Lakers. I'm sorry, you gave the Pelicans your first round pick unprotected for Anthony Davis. That was a couple of years ago. I think that kicks in, and I think that they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be very good neither.
Yeah, I don't think first pick overall bad though. So let's go with Washington, Brooklyn,
and Utah.
Mm-hmm. Just for conversation's sake. Where does he make the most sense?
Where does he make the most sense? Well,
because this is what sucks about the draft.
Right.
I think if he goes to Washington, he's ruined. I think if he goes to Brooklyn,
they have to have an idea of what they're doing. That's the $1 million question.
Right? I have zero faith in Brooklyn. I think they're gone. I think Utah might be the place only because I really like the coaching staff there, top to bottom. Obviously, we've had Scott Morrison on the show before. Good young coaching staff. The core they've been building. Danny Ainge, right? Still there's who knows how to put a team together. Heck, Dwayne Wade's a partial owner. I think that's the one that I'd be like, if I have any faith in any of them, to figure out how to build a team around a player that's supposed to be great. Probably there, no?
And it's in the best interest of the NBA when you get a guy like Cooper Flagg who could be the future, especially in a place like Utah. This thing very much like what you talked about with Caitlin Clark. Like this thing has to pan out. So in the process of it panning out, you got to put guys around him. Now that you have a franchise player, you got to put guys around him that complement his game. 100% they do. So to see him being in Brooklyn, the thing I'm thinking about with Brooklyn is they have to have a plan for him. You can't just bring him in and then, okay, what are we doing with him? Is he, because he's clearly a franchise player. Let's get to the bottom of that right now. He's clearly the guy you're building your unit around. So now you have, because that's what the league is about today. A bunch of 6'9", 6'10" wings. So now you have your franchise player. Now you have your wing guy. Now you got to get a distributor around him. Now you got to get another shooter around him. Now you got to get some dirty work guys around him. That's where the draft comes in. Because again, Brooklyn is one of those places. Utah is one of those places. Washington is one of those places where it's very difficult to attract free agents. Washington, D.C. might be a great town, but when you're talking about an organization like the Wizards, they do not have a history of being great. In fact, they dropped the ball more times than not over the years. So with that being said,
they should just move that team to Seattle.
My goodness. Actually, no. What we don't want in Seattle, we don't want to steal anybody else's team because we know what happens. We know how it feels to get out to get your team stolen. We actually want our team back. That'd be great.
The Washington or the DC Maryland area did steal a team, so they probably deserve it happening to them too, right? Like quite literally, they packed their bags in the middle of the night, loaded up a truck in Cleveland, and drove the Browns to Baltimore to become the Ravens. Literally in the middle of the night when no one was watching.
Can you believe that? Like snuck them.
I believe anything at this point.
Unbelievable, y'all did that, yo. And then turn around and won the Super Bowl. So y'all steal our team, and then you win the bowl game with our team.
Yeah. Almost all those guys were drafted by the Browns. Absolutely.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
So I agree with you of the teams we said, but okay. forget the teams that I said.
Yep.
Of all the sub 500 teams, so Bulls, Nets, Raptors, Charlotte, Washington, Detroit. I'll throw in Golden State, Utah, Memphis, San Antonio, Portland. Where would he make the most sense, though? Like, if you could wave a wand and say he's going to this team, is it still Utah or is it a different team?
I love him in Portland, Tone. I do.
Hmm.
I love him in Portland with a. I don't like him in San Antonio because they already got their franchise player. They already have their franchise player. I mean, I seen this movie before with Lajuan and Ralph Sampson. You know,
they were both technically the same position. These two guys are different.
I mean, with Duncan and David Robinson. Duncan came out. He was a 5 coming out of college. He moved to the 4 for David Robinson.
That one worked out okay.
But when you got Duncan, David Robinson, I mean, he was never the same after that back injury. So I actually like what they're doing in San Antonio. I can tell you right now, if they got the number 1 pick, there's no way that they're passing on him. And I think that he would fit in San Antonio because now you got your small forward for the future plus Wemby.
No. If Portland had the first pick overall, they're picking a center. That won't work out.
They're not. They already got a 5-man tone. They're good up there.
It's Portland.
Spot.
Isn't that what Portland does?
No, not. Well, they as of today, and which is interesting. You mentioned that, Tone. I don't know if you noticed, but they got 4 5-men on their roster. 4 of them. So you got Robert Williams, Klingon, Ayton, and the Australian kid. I forget his name, but you got 4 5-men on your crew. 4 of them.
They should trade Robert Williams and leave Ayton in the Bahamas. So you like him in Portland? Okay,
I do like him. I do like him in Portland. I think that the small forward position, I think he steps in immediately. I'm coming off this kid Shaedon Sharpe. I'm out on him. Plus, I think Sharpe can be more of a 2 guard. So if you want to move him to the 2, I think that would be good. As far as him playing on the front line, you could play him at the 3. I feel like you already got your lead guard in Scoot. I feel like you got your 2 guard in Simons. Maybe you can upgrade that position, possibly. Now you got your small forward in Cooper Flagg. You got your 5-man in Ayton. Now we building this thing, as opposed to you don't have that. So I actually love him in Portland. Yes,
because I feel like Utah, back to the original team, right? They're probably moving off Lauri Markkanen.
No, they're not, Tone. I'm glad you brought that up. Tone, as a businessman, and ladies and gentlemen, my brethren here, he has a tendency to forget the successful businessman that he is, and he knows what double talk sounds like. Not only does he know what double talk sounds like, he knows what nonsense is too. And you know Danny Ainge, Tone. He is not coming off Lauri Markkanen. Not only is he not coming off Lauri Markkanen, this is smoke and mirrors.
But you know Danny Ainge.
I do.
And he's saying, I'm not coming off him because he wants a better offer.
Right. And here's the thing,
someone's going to give him what they gave him for Rudy Gobert.
Here's the thing, Tone. I think he's doing that. To test the market. That could very well be going
course.
on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I want to see.
Someone might blow him away with an offer.
Right. He might. I'm gonna put a for sale sign on my car just to get a price to see, what somebody is willing to pay for it.
Especially if he thinks we have a legit shot at Cooper Flagg next year.
Right. So if he ends up putting Lauri Markkanen on the market, just to check temperatures, just to see, what could I get for him? Only to find out that Lauri Markkanen comes in next season and he has another all-star type season. Well, now the price just went up even higher. And not only did the price go up even higher, those draft picks that I have, they look even more enticing, right? Because now I got a valuable commodity. I got a 27-year-old who basically is in the peak of his career, and you can probably get another 5 more years out of him at this level. And I got a bunch of ones. So if I'm building my unit, I'd much rather, to be honest with you, if I could get the number 1 overall pick, I'd much rather keep that and keep Lauri Markkanen unless you give me something that's going to blow me away. Because, Tony, I've said this to you in the past about Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is the guy, when you walk into the car dealership, I told him I only got $350 a month for a car payment. I walk out and my car payment is $700. That's Danny Ainge. That 100% is Danny Ainge. I just told you how much I got for a car payment.
Well, you listen, I know you live in Arizona, but you still needed that rust protection. What can I tell you?
I really don't.
Another one.
I do not need that. Especially for $1,500, I don't need it. I definitely don't need it for $1,500.
So we talked about Cooper Flagg.
Yep.
And how well he looked, how good he looked against Team USA. And there's two topics I want to talk about on Team USA. So let's start with the overall consensus. No one's beating this team, right? Like that's a given at this point, or do you think someone can give them a run for their money?
Well, they don't have. Well, again, they don't have Chuck Daly, so Team Select. They don't have where, y'all can get roughed up and we're gonna burn the tapes. No, they don't have that. When I think about any other team in the country, in the world, I mean, Germany's got a damn good team. France has got a damn good team. Serbia has got a damn good team, right? I think the gold medal game is.
If the Warriors didn't cock block us, Canada would have a damn good team.
I was about to say Canada's also got a damn good team. If I had to choose, I think that the gold medal game is going to be France and America. I think that in USA, I think that's going to ultimately be the gold medal game. With that being said, everything that's necessary that you have, that you need, I mean, they have it. Now, Tone, I'm in the minority here when I say that I'm not really a big fan of James, Curry, and Durant on the team. And the reason why I'm not a big fan of that is because I feel like, why do we need 36 and 39-year-olds to win the gold medal?
Like, why do you need someone who wasn't born in the U.S.?
That's another question. That's another question that has to be answered.
Just saying, now, like the USA. Let me just get on my soapbox here for a second. The USA has so many great players, and I get why Embiid wants to, but here's a guy who got French citizenship to go play for France, and then a couple months later goes, "Oh, I can do that for the U.S. I'm going to the U.S." Dude, no. Look, he's not doing anything wrong. Let's be clear. He's an American citizen, even though he got it in 2022. Okay, but I get it. He came here in 2016. Played college here. Kid was born here. I get all the wonderful reasons that he's a U.S. citizen, but he's also a French citizen. So when you say, "Oh, he's a U.S. citizen," well, he's also a French citizen. He's also where's Cameroon?
He's from Cameroon.
Yes, so he's all of those things too. And it's like, I feel like if you're going to play for a country, you should have to be a citizen of that country for like 10 years. There needs to be a number. Like, you can't be president. You can't. There's so many things you can't do, but you can sign up and then play in the next Olympics. I don't like the looks of it. Now, if it's a team like the Bahamas that need players, I'm like, okay, cool. But it's the U.S. Like, is Embiid going to be the difference maker? Isn't Embiid going to be the difference maker for the U.S.?
No. If Embiid wasn't on this crew, I still think they win the gold medal.
I think everybody agrees with that. So yeah. I get it that it's by the rules, it's legally okay. I just don't like it. Let's be clear. I didn't like it when Olajuwon played for Team USA. I didn't like it when Patrick Ewing played for Team USA. Whatever. That being said, so sorry, back to Team USA. I needed to get that off my chest. Please.
Right, sure. What I was saying was, with Team USA, this crew, the way it's presently put together, I'm just not a fan of having James, having Curry, having Kevin Durant on the crew, off the strength that I feel like these guys are. No, don't get me wrong. I do get that it's the last hurrah. Curry's probably not ever going to be able to have an opportunity to play in the Olympics again. KD,
isn't this his first?
He's never played in the Olympics before.
He's never played in the Olympics before. Yeah,
it's the first time Steph Curry has ever played in the Olympics. KD, this is probably the last time he's going to play in the Olympics. This will be, let's see, he was on the Olympic team in 08. He was on the Olympic team in 12. He was on the Olympic team in 16. He was on the Olympic team in 21. And he's going to be on the Olympic team now. This is his 5th Olympic team, which means that he'll have 5 gold medals, right? So because he's got 5 gold medals, I've always felt like with the national team that we should have I feel like we have young enough guys where we can get to grow with these guys as opposed to throwing units together. I know it's been working, Tone. Yes, I know that.
Yeah, I know that you're a fan of what the other countries do, where they say, "Hey, you got to commit for 8 years or whatever."
I love that, man. And the reason why I like that is because you get to see how awesome. I always reference the gold medal game in 2008. There are not enough people who talk about that Spanish team that we played in the gold medal game. That was an awesome team, Tone.
Yeah, you could see they had plays. They were very in sync with each other. 100%. Yeah,
that Spanish team was awesome with Gasol and Rubio and Rudy Fernandez and his brother. That was a damn good Spanish team, and they were in a dogfight. And they were it was Kobe who hit him because other than that, I mean, we got a damn good game going on, and that's what I'd love to see. That's what I would love to see with the Americans, with the Americans, off the strength that we can build a national team where we can get commitments from guys where you got James playing in 2008, you got James playing in 2012, or you got KD playing in 2008, you got KD playing in 2012, and you got KD playing in 2016. I feel like if we built a national team like that, where the majority of our players were that way, and then we made the rotation after the second Olympics, I feel like America would be more in tune with these people as opposed to throwing units together. Because is Devin Booker a household name, Tone? Like I don't think that people
globally, no, no, probably not.
I don't think Devin Booker is a household name. And understand what I mean when I say household name. Household name is your mother knows who Devin Booker is, just like Mrs. Fluent knows who Steph Curry is.
Oh no, well she's fluent. She knows who all these players are. But
of course,
I know what you're saying. More
that's
like my mom knows Curry, Durant, LeBron, and Giannis.
I was about to say that, Tone. Like your mother knows who Giannis is, and she doesn't know who he is just because he's Greek. She knows who Giannis is. Yeah. I'm sure that has something to do with it, the fact that he's Greek. But I mean, she knows who this guy is. Oh, the basketball player. Yes, that's him. And I feel like if we had a national team that was consistent, I feel like we could build that kind of rapport with the American people, as opposed to throwing units together where, like, I'm 100% confident Tyrese Halliburton is not a household name, but I would like to keep him on the Olympic team where he can develop that. I would love to do that.
But like, I don't necessarily. Here's the thing, though. I think because of what happened last time or 2 years ago in the FIBA, where they finished fourth,
world championship. Sure.
I think that kind of drove this team, right? Because a bunch of guys were like, "Hold on, we finished fourth. Let me do something here for a second." And I think that's why you got the Stephs, the KDs, and the LeBrons. I also think Steph, LeBron, and KD realized we're never going to get a chance to play together. And I think they're like, we also want to play together. So for our country, for ourselves, like you saw them when they all showed up, they were like giddy, like little schoolgirls, like giggling and laughing. I think they really legitimately, like, I guarantee you Kevin Durant regrets leaving Golden State.
Oh, I'm sure.
His life was so much easier playing with Curry. I think there's been talks, like where there's smoke, there's fire, right? There was talk about KD going to the Lakers this offseason, like all the time. Like they talk to each other, especially these guys. Like I see Curry, Durant, and LeBron. And you know the thing I love? Everyone says I pick on Durant a lot, but what do I always say? I don't think anyone loves the game of basketball more than Kevin Durant. Like if he could marry basketball, he's like, what was that song like Common did, about hip hop? I think that's Durant and basketball. Like he loves basketball.
I think guys that I feel that's all they want to do.
Getting that opportunity, I think, to play with these guys, I think that's why they did it. Is we got smoked last time around, so that's why there's this older team. Mm-hmm. That being said, I do like them committing to to being there consistently, and it's the same kind of core group of guys. Like you might have to bring in other people, injuries, age, whatever. But I like the idea of bringing in other people, having that core group of guys. But I find this interesting. What if they were to build a U.S. national team and bring in, again, go back with college guys and say NBA players aren't allowed to play because now most of the top tier international players now, unlike in 92, where it was pro-European players playing against men playing against university kids from the U.S. Right. Well, now all the best players from around the world play in the NBA. So if it was right across, now some of them might make a big deal out of this, but if they were all out, all NBA players were out, you'd be missing the best European players too. And wouldn't that level the playing field a little bit? I
think so. But that also leaves like the Euro League, that leaves the Italian League, that leaves the French League, and they still would be playing against pros. And on top of that,
you can have G League guys.
Well, here's the thing though, Tone. A lot of these guys, the problem with your logic of college guys is those guys back, when Jordan played and with Mullen and Ewing, those guys stayed in school. Like who's staying in school?
That's also true too. Yeah.
So not a lot of these guys.
They were juniors and seniors. Yeah, right. fair enough. Against a bunch of freshmen. Okay, that's a good point.
Not a lot of these guys.
Well, then again, I also think they should all stay in school longer too. But that's a different conversation.
To be honest with you, the GMs want that too. To be honest with you,
NCAA. Why do we love the women's tournament so much? Because almost all those players played 3 and 4 years. They built up rivalries. They built up some animosity towards each other, and they got better as players. So the basketball was better.
Yes. And on top of that, you grew up with Caitlin Clark. There's a girl that's in the 5th grade. She's in the 10th grade now. She grew up with Caitlin Clark. She's been watching Caitlin Clark since she was a kid. Since she was in 6th grade, she's been watching Caitlin Clark. She loves Caitlin Clark. There's a girl who loves
watching UConn. Yeah, you've been watching UConn's run, and you get invested in them. And now with NIL, they can make money, so there's no need to just run. And I get it. You come from a poor environment. You need to help your family out. Okay, well now you can do that without going to the NBA, and it allows you to grow as a player. And guess what? You're a broken ankle away from not being able to play. So getting an education wouldn't be the worst thing either.
Yes, absolutely. So
okay, I'm off. I'm going off a bunch of rants now.
Sure. So again, Tone, I really wasn't that big a fan of it, but I do understand it on some level because again, this is probably Curry's last opportunity he's going to have to play in the Olympics. KD, this is his last time he's playing in the Olympics. James, he's going to be retired by the time the next Olympics come up in 28, which is going to be in Los Angeles spot. Yeah, he's going to be retired by that time.
Sure?
He better be retired by that damn time. I bet you.
Are you sure?
He better be damn retired in the next.
I think he plays till he's 45.
He better be retired. He better be retired by the time.
The Lakers starting lineup will be Bronny at the 1, Bryce at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Savannah at the 4, Rich Paul at the.
Bron, if you don't go sit your ass down somewhere, man, stop playing. You're 45 years old. What you doing, man? Go sit your ass down.
I'm telling you.
If there's been plenty of players who've come and gone already, and you still here, what are you doing here, man?
Well, did you see it showed that there's a picture of the 08 Olympic team, this year's Olympic team, and it's like, notice anything? There's LeBron James.
He's the only one. He's the only one.
So I'm setting you up for something here. Let me just go down the roster with you for a second. And so we both agree. USA sweeps through this thing, right? There's no okay. Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday. I love Drew Holiday on this team, by the way. LeBron James, because people are asking who's going to play the 08 Kobe role of being that perimeter stopper. It's him. LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard looks in really good shape.
He's always been in great shape, though.
No. He looks in really good, it looks like he's slimmed down, which probably puts less pressure on those knees. I'm not a big fan of the hair, but
you had a bun. So what are you talking about?
That's why I cut it off. But Paul McKeskey, who used to be a center for the Milwaukee Bucks, who does the show We Got Next on our network, he was talking at length about Kawhi Leonard. and he was like, dude, he looks. And so I went and watched. He looks good. I'm just telling you, he looks good. If he's healthy, he looks good. Then you got Jason Tatum, and to round it off, you got Anthony Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I left Anthony Edwards until the end is because he kind of came out and said, look, he's the guy on this team. Everyone else needs to kind of play around him. And it got, brought up on one of my favorite shows because it has my good friend Michelle Beadle on it. And here's the conversation. And I'm only going to show you a clip and then we'll go into it a little bit deeper.
How many players on Team USA are better than Anthony Edwards definitively? I don't know that there is one.
I don't know that there is one. And they went on to say, you want to go through it? And they went through it. So I want to do that exercise with you because I disagree.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yes, it is.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yes, it is.
It got two of them because it got me.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Is Anthony Edwards definitively, are these players definitively better? So if it's close, no, definitive, bam.
Understand the difference between definitively and there's a conversation.
There's a conversation.
Right.
No one would argue with you.
Right.
Is Bam definitively better than Anthony Edwards?
No, he's not.
Devin Booker.
No, he's not.
Steph Curry. At this point, remember, we're not talking about at their best. Today.
Definitely better than him. Steph Curry is definitely better than Anthony Edwards. Ooh. Damn, Tone.
If you have to think about it, it means no. So,
okay.
Anthony Davis.
Yes.
I agree. Kevin Durant.
No.
Oh, I disagree. I think he is.
I don't think he's definitely. Well, you know what? As a bucket getter,
again today,
today, yes, KD is definitely better than Anthony Edwards.
Joel Embiid,
yes.
Tyrese Halliburton, no. Drew Holiday,
no.
LeBron James,
yes.
You think Anthony Edwards is?
Oh, I'm sorry. We got.
Okay, LeBron James is definitively better.
Yes.
Kawhi Leonard.
Leonard is not definitely better than Anthony Edwards, but he is.
I brought up his health and how good he looks because I'm going to say yes, he is definitively better because he looks like peak Kawhi right now.
He tricked me.
My amazing wife.
Yeah,
he looks.
Leonard tricked me.
To me.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like. Jason Tatum. Oh, this one's gonna be hard for you.
No, it's not. Yes.
Oh, Jason Tatum's definitively better.
Yes, I think he's definitely better than Anthony Edwards.
Okay, so we've said Anthony Davis for sure. We said Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Jason Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so him. Hey, let's build the team around Anthony Edwards. Maybe not that crazy then.
I mean, if
you're talking about Anthony Davis, who's made of glass, LeBron James, who's 47, and so Jason Tatum's really the only young in his prime.
Right.
One. It's not bad. Right. Okay, so he's not that crazy.
And I feel like Anthony Edwards, him and Tyrese Halliburton, I feel like they could be the future of Team USA. Guys like that. That's who we're building our unit around, right? As opposed to, all right, we got to go get a bunch of other young guys, or we got to flip this roster again. No, we don't. No, we do not. Let's get a commitment from Tyrese Halliburton and Anthony Edwards, and now Jason Tatum, and these guys are the face of USA basketball for the next 8 years. Let's get a commitment from these dudes.
I am a fan of that. Let's take a few questions.
Yeah,
I understand that you have to project, especially with young players. But why does the greatest, etc. tag get put on players so fast? Example: Zion, Wemby, Ben, Cooper.
Well, because one, that's the environment that we live in today. We live in a YouTube instant satisfaction, instant gratification society. So the idea of guys growing and you seeing these guys grow. There's so much stuff going on that you get turned off quickly by somebody. So you can't see the process of somebody getting better. That's why people talk about Wemby the way that they're talking about Wemby, because Wemby showed up. He's the #1 pick in the draft. He finished second this year in Defensive Player of the Year. Wemby's going to be the GOAT. Wemby's going to be the GOAT defender next year. Like, wait a minute. Okay, can we first and foremost, Wemby? I don't even think he's old enough to get in the club yet. That's number one. Right. Now, that's right. In Europe, it's
and in Canada. Canada's 19,
right.
except for Quebec, which is 18. So he's good up here, but
in America, it's 21. And I don't think he's old enough to get in the club yet. He's definitely not old enough to drink. So with that being said, I think the reason why the greatest tag gets put on people is because they don't. A lot of you guys today don't see the work. And you see a lot of the finished products, so you think it's that simple to just have it. In reality, it's not. I think you would appreciate people being great more if you actually grew up with these people and watched their process, as opposed to just stamping Wemby as the best ever, stamping Zion as the best ever.
And that actually it bothers me a lot, because you get instances like we just had, right? Anthony Edwards comes out into the playoffs, plays amazing. Oh my God, he's the next Michael Jordan. He's amazing. Then obviously loses. Oh, he sucks. He's horrible. He's so overrated. Right. I'm like, oh, it was the same people. It wasn't different people who said this too. And that's why I always say, right, I make my greatest list, right? I'm very big on, I make exceptions when you hit 15, 16. No, I make exception when you hit like 17, 18, 19, 20 years. But for the most part, I'm not talking about you greatest of anything until you're done. Now, I can say you're tracking in that your trajectory is in that, stratosphere. Like Nikola Jokic is, I think by the time he's said and done, he's going to be the greatest offensive big man ever. I think that's a fair assessment. Am I going to say he's the best one today? Well, no, I don't think a 5-year span is enough.
First and foremost, Tone, just so I don't know if you guys know this, but when Tone and I first met and we were doing the rankings, I had to twist Tone's arm to rank LeBron James. I had to twist his. He was not in favor of doing that. Off the strength that James is still here.
He's still here.
And by the way, James is in,
years ago.
Right, and James is in at that time. James is in like year 17, and Tone is like, well, do I go with him? No, I don't. I had to twist his arm.
I knew where he was gonna be,
right?
But still, like, let him finish, because I don't want to be the guy who says, "Oh, he's here, he's there, he's done," and his stats aren't going to change. Maybe if my criteria changes, his spot will change. But okay, so that's the reason why. But I think we all agree. Yep. This one, just because Fluent's not a real Canadian. How are you not watching the soccer game? Well, I guess Canada's playing is the reason. I did not even know that they were playing. I am a dual citizen, so I guess I can play for the US, or actually, I guess I can play for Greece too.
Right.
So I can play for all three. So that's why I'm not watching.
And on top of that,
let me know the score. Let me know the score.
I don't know if you know this old dude capping for old dudes. He's working. That's one of the main reasons why.
Yes.
He is working.
Although I do know that they beat Venezuela, which was an upset, and now they're playing Messi and Argentina for a shot at making the World Cup, which would be a really big deal for Canada. But as my son would say, Messi the GOAT, they ain't beating them. he enjoys soccer. I do not. Although he's actually at a baseball game. Shout out to Fluent Jr., who see, this is what I love about my kid. I'm getting the updates. He walked. This is how you know he runs and I don't. He walked, stole second, stole third, stole home, and they're down 5-1, sadly. And he's responsible for that one run. So shout out to Fluent Jr. 3 stolen bases, and a walk, and a run scored, I guess. I got to learn more about baseball. Marcus, thank you for the super chat. Marcus says Ant is a household name, though.
No, he isn't. No, he is not.
I don't think it's a household name, guys.
It's not a household name. No, my neighbor does not know who Anthony Edwards is. No, my neighbor doesn't.
Marcus,
that's what a household name is.
Yeah, Marcus, go knock on your next door neighbor's. I don't know where you live, but if you can, go knock on your next door neighbor's door, and don't ask the dad or the son that watches.
Not even your next door neighbor. Just go to a random house in your area in the
No, don't do that.
626.
Maybe go to a restaurant and ask one of the.
Or not a sports bar, like a
not a sports bar.
No, not a sports bar, just a regular spot. And
Assuming you don't live in Minnesota.
Right.
Assuming you don't live.
The 626, that's in Northern California. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I didn't even
in
notice
Northern
626.
California.
Okay.
I think it's in Northern California. But anyway, and ask who Anthony Edwards is. I'm more confident that people know who Steph Curry is more than they know who Anthony Edwards is. Curry is a household name.
The 626 is the eastern parts of Los Angeles County, actually. So like Pasadena, El Monte, Southern California. It never rains in Southern California. Tony told me that. Let's see. Another super chat from the I'm going to say the tribe, even though there's no E, because Tribe Called Quest is my favorite group of all time. Never going to happen because it's un-American, but it would be fun to have our Olympic team only have players 4 years out of high school or younger.
So college players. That's basically what you're saying.
Senior. What would be a senior in college? So you know what though? Even if you're third year MBA and you played 1 year in college, so that would be maybe 22 and under, 23 and under, whatever that number is. Maybe I kind of like that idea. Is it crazy?
When I think about it, no, but I think that would have to be universal too. Like that's not so. If we're doing that with USA players being 4 years out of high school or younger, even if you did play in the NBA. So, for example, like Paolo would be on the Olympic team. Evan Mobley would be on the Olympic team. Guys like that.
Paolo American?
I think he is. Even though I think his mother's Italian.
I thought he was supposed to play on a different country, and then that was a whole nother.
Yeah, I think his mother's Italian. But what I mean is, if we're gonna do this with the Americans, I think that has to be universal.
Yeah,
that means the Joker's gone. That means that Luka's out. That means Giannis is out. All of these dudes can't play neither.
Which is weird though, because this all started, right? Like the whole dream team started because the USA was losing
to men.
To guys who were playing professional basketball in Europe.
Right.
And I always wondered, how did that even ever happen? Because the Olympics is, by definition, an amateur sport.
Yes.
Right? Like you can't be a boxer and be a professional getting paid to box, right? That was the whole thing. Like Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, all those guys.
Most of those guys went pro after the Olympics.
Yeah, went pro, and they could not compete in the Olympics anymore. And so it's like every other sport, you're not allowed to be a professional athlete, meaning you're getting paid. Right. But in these leagues, you could. And it was almost like a direct shot at the USA, because every other country had their pro athletes playing because they were playing and getting paid to play, which is the definition of a pro. Now I get it. NIL has thrown a little bit of a monkey wrench into that definition, but that's only in the US. So I think I don't know. I think, the Olympics has become, I'm going to sound like an old Greek man here. The Olympics has become not what it was meant to be.
What was it meant to be? It was an amateur competition.
It was an amateur competition that brought countries together to have diplomatic conversations, right? Like initially they were competing, and the leaders of these countries would come together and have discussions and try to create peace. Right, like it was like a G12 summit. It wasn't just it was like, hey, let's not bomb each other and hit each other with tanks and arrows and whatever they were doing because if you go far back enough, they didn't have tanks. Let me not throw a sickle at you. And they would sit down and talk and say, hey, let's solve the aggression out on the track, and let's have a conversation about how our worlds can peacefully coexist. And now it's professional athletes. It's, there's hacky sack, 3-on-3 basketball. There's going to be, who knows, there's going to be pickleball in there eventually. Cornhole, darts. Like it's not the same, bro. And I love all those games, don't get me wrong, but okay. So thanks, Tribe. I appreciate that. It would be fun. 626 gave us another super. Oh no, wait, is that the same one? My bad. Marcus gave us another one here. Appreciate you, Marcus. So Ant sweeps KD. averaging 31, beat Jokic, who Braun and AD couldn't beat, but those guys are for sure better than him. Chill, Tatum, bro.
Tatum, Marcus from 626.
That's
Whether however you feel about Jason Tatum, that's a you problem. And we don't talk about nobody. We don't talk about no other champions. We don't talk about We don't talk about any other All-Pro first team players like that. You, sir, are of this new age. You are of this new age, whatever you want to call it, right? You are with this new age hater or whatever. Now the idea that Ant sweeps KD. So I guess Chauncey Billups was better than Kobe Bryant when they beat them in the NBA Finals in 2004. I guess we're doing that, right? I guess Dirk Nowitzki was better than James when they beat when they beat them in the NBA Finals. If we're doing that, so if we're doing that, then now that's a whole different criteria, a completely different criteria. I'm not going to argue that Minnesota was better than Phoenix. I am not going to argue that. In fact, I had them beating them. But the idea that because you won a playoff series at 22 years old against another team now automatically makes you better than them, and it's not even a conversation. Give me a break.
Now I will say this to keep it fair. Ant didn't sweep KD, right? Minnesota swept Phoenix, to be fair. He didn't beat Joker. Minnesota beat Denver, who beat the Lakers. So that's just if it was 1-on-1, you could say that more definitively. But because
we are comparing Ant's performance to Chauncey's. Chauncey Billups was the Finals MVP. That's number one. Number two, Ant was awful in terms of shooting. Ant was awful in terms of shooting against Denver in games. I believe Game 7. He was terrible. But if I let you tell it, he better than Joker now because Joker choked in Game 7. Give me a break. Okay, bro.
And yes, hold on. We got another super chat. So let's read it. Thank you again, Marcus, very much. So Chill, you think AD is better than Curry? You disagree that Curry was definitively better than Ant, but AD is definitively better than Ant.
I think Curry, because I think Curry's a top 5 player.
And let's keep in mind, today, we're talking about right
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Today, I think Curry's a top 5 player. So I do think he's definitively better than Anthony Edwards. Yes, I do think that.
Oh, you said he wasn't. You said Curry. Oh,
yeah.
Maybe we read it wrong. Okay, yes, so AD and Curry are both better than
definitively better. I think I don't think it's a conversation. I think they're definitely. I think Steph Curry today is definitely better than Anthony Edwards. Definitely, and I think Anthony Davis is definitely better than Anthony Edwards. And just like I think Jason Tatum is definitely better than Anthony Edwards.
I see the first words of this next one being DeMar DeRozan, so I know I'm already not going to like it because your dude Ox is off his rocker because I heard what he said. I saw a clip about him saying DeMar DeRozan makes them the definitive favorites in the West. You're crazy, bro. DeMar DeRozan is close to Steph Curry in all-time points. Buckets come in different ways. If you look at all-time points, you shouldn't talk basketball. I'm sorry, Mello. Mello. I appreciate the super chat because I'm sorry. Because here's why you can't look at all-time points, excuse me. Bill Cartwright has more all-time points than Gilbert Arenas.
Just so you know, Steph Curry just passed Scottie Pippen in points this season. Scottie Pippen better than Steph Curry?
Tony Parker, we've this one I've done before, so I apologize for those that know this one already. Tony Parker has more all-time playoff points than like Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor. I forget the list now. Do you remember that list when I was like, it means nothing? It means nothing.
I do.
It's a list. So yes, points come in different ways. You're absolutely right. But they do. If the only point that you're saying is points come in different ways, then I'm with you, Mello. If you're trying to say that DeMar's anywhere near like a scorer or shooter this Steph, then I disagree with you wholeheartedly. So we'll do this one and then we'll move on to I have another video clip. What's a good trade destination for Ingram?
I actually liked him in Philly, to be honest with you. I did.
Well, that's not going to happen now.
No, it's not. It's not going to happen now, but I did like him in Philly. I wouldn't hate him in Portland, to be honest with you. If they traded Jeremy Grant for him, plus what they got with Scoot and DeAndre Ayton. I don't hate him up in Portland. I think he makes them significantly better as a bucket getter. I do like that. I don't like him in Houston because I think that they building something. I think they building something pretty solid in Houston. I don't like him in Memphis neither because I think that they own something in Memphis. I don't think that they need another guy like Brandon Ingram. So those are the teams that I'm thinking about off the top of my head.
The thing is, the teams that need him, like actually need him, I don't think there's a fit, right? Like they need another scorer in Denver, clearly.
Yeah.
But how do they get him there, right? Like, do they have the assets without giving up? Obviously, they're not going to give up Jokic. They're not going to give up Jamal Murray. How do they get him there? Like, does a package of Christian Brown, something and draft picks, is that enough to get him there? I don't know. They can use him in Orlando, but I don't think. Again, I don't see how they can make that work. Heck, the LA could use him back, but I don't think there's anything that they can offer to enough to get him. So there's a lot of teams that could use a second or third option scorer, but I don't think that, and I think that's the problem. I think that's why he hasn't been moved yet, is because when you look at the makeup of their team, they want to bring something back that's going to help them get better. So who are the teams that need a guy like Ingram? Like, don't get me wrong, there's, Indiana could use Ingram, but what are they going to give up for him? Right? I think there's a lot, although him and Pascal probably are, there's, not their game is redundant, but the way their role would be redundant. I don't see. I'm trying to think, in case you're wondering why I'm like, right? Like, there's no, like, you want him, if you want him, you probably want to bring him to a contending team, right? Right, because all the bad teams.
I don't know if I want him on a bad team. I can tell you that.
Washington could use him, but what's he gonna do?
I don't hate him on a bad team, but I've seen him on contending teams, and I'm not a big fan of Brandon Ingram. I'm on record saying I'm not a big fan of Brandon Ingram. I think that he's not lazy. I don't think he's lazy. I think he's soft, to be honest with you, and I think he's a bucket getter. I won't argue that point. But with him being on a crew like Portland, I don't hate that because I feel like he brings them something that they don't have, which is a bucket getter, another bucket getter. I think he's better than Jeremy Grant, plus Scoot, plus Anthony Simons, plus Ayton. I think he makes them much better. Much better.
I'm revisiting the Denver thing. I think Denver actually would make a lot of sense. They'd have to give up some of that defense, though, which is the problem, because they've been getting decimated ever since they won. Their team's been slowly getting picked apart. All right, let's go. Yes, I said I had another video for you. So, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch the video. Was there any topics we missed before I do this? Let me double check our list. Boom, boom, boom. No, I think we got them all. Awesome. Oh, Paul George. Let's do Paul George first.
Let's do Paul George.
Let's do Paul George first. I think
PG-13.
PG-13. What's up? Our baseball player. How'd it go?
Not as expected.
Not as expected.
We kind of lost 11-3.
You lost 11-3.
Whoa. Okay, you kind of lost 11-3, or did you lose? I don't know if you could kind of get smoked.
We did.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're clear on that.
I had an MVP of the game and second MVP of the game.
Oh, okay.
Right? I'll tell you who it went to later.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. And Coach dropped the F-bomb on me twice.
Okay. We're live.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Coach dropped the F-bomb on me twice. Oh,
what
boy.
The F?
Oh, man.
Oh,
Wow. We'll talk about that later. L Coach. I'm gonna have to deal with that in a minute. But okay, so let's go Paul George. So I think Paul George. Actually, no. Sorry, what I was gonna say was, I believe our platform is what sports media should be, because and I'm not just saying it because it's us, but like, we have honest conversations. We call things the way that they are, and we limit occasionally I'll troll, but we limit the agendas and we're open to hearing each other's sides.
Mhm.
The problem with players going on other players' podcasts, which has become the norm,
Mhm.
is that they talk. I don't want to cuss.
Recklessly.
They speak.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
Shit. You shouldn't have been talking shit.
Yes. Diarrhea of
And
the mouth.
because it's their friend,
Mhm.
I believe that they say this stuff, right? Just and not realize it. And then because it's their friend, they don't ask them the hard question to follow up because it's their friend. So Paul George talking about his contract. Oh, they didn't give me that, and then they wanted that, and then
Don't let him off the hook with that. Don't.
And then I wanted it as much, but then I wanted more, and
Don't let him off the hook with that. Mm-mm.
and they just let him off the hook.
No, don't let him. He's
Yeah,
the one who he was the one who opened the door to that. By the way,
Yeah.
he was the one. It wasn't like that kind of came up between y'all. No, he was the one who brought that up. He was the one who talked about, well, just give me the contract that Kawhi had. Well, wait a minute, did you do what Kawhi Leonard did? And not only that, I think they made a mistake giving Kawhi that contract. So why are they going to give you the same contract that they gave Kawhi? That I think they made a mistake on. That's first of all. Number two, you two guys, what have you proven in the last 5 years to be afforded a max deal like that? What have you done over the last 5 years? Because you guys got together, you guys have gotten together over the last 5 years to win an NBA championship. That's what you said when you came here. Don't let him off the hook with that. Don't. No way.
You can't handle the truth.
No way do you let him off the hook with that. Especially considering he brought it up. It's not like you brought it up and he didn't want to talk about it. No,
Oh, he wanted to talk about it. I think he wanted. I think he thought he was gonna, talk poorly about the Braves, which he easily could have just said, hey, it's the Braves or the Clippers, and it is what it is, and everyone would have went, yeah, they're a dysfunctional organization. They always have been, always will be. I don't think he would have had an argument from anyone if he left it at that. Yeah. They didn't negotiate in good faith. Whether that's true or not, he probably could have said it, left it at that, and everyone would have went, yep, I agree. I think he's sometimes, you brought up sales earlier, sometimes you can talk yourself out of a deal. And I think Paul George backed himself into a corner and then tried to get out, but he looks really bad in this. And here's the downside, guys. Or the upside for the rest of the league. He's not going to be good in Philly. Philly's not going to be good. I keep telling you this. They're not going to be good. And then guess what? They're going to be looking to trade him in the offseason, if not sooner, or he's going to want to get out.
Oh my God, that's going to be a nightmare.
Because all of these guys who do this, like you always say to me, Maya Angelou always said, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. You always use that quote. We know who he is.
Maya Angelou told me a long time ago, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Paul George has shown you who he is countless times. There is no misunderstanding about who he is. But I've said this to you, Tone, that the linchpin here, no matter what you put around Joel Embiid, the linchpin here is Joel Embiid. He is the difference. He is the guy that if they're going to win it, it's going to be him. We've seen all this other stuff that's been around him. He's got a potential all-pro point guard around him in Maxey. Paul George had Kawhi Leonard, an all-pro, an all-league defender. All of this was predicated on these guys holding up. If these guys don't hold up, this thing goes to pieces. I'm out on the Clippers, and I'm out on Philly. I'm out. I've been out on Philly.
The process failed years ago. It's time to blow it up and move on. But you keep clinging and see where it gets you. Which is too bad because I enjoyed my time in Philly. All right, so the last clip, and then we're gonna send out the link and let you guys jump on and Ray Stark can tell me, can ask you, Unc, how you deal with me talking out my neck. In a moment, but first let's play this, and I want to ask you a question, and I'm actually going to ask you the question before I even play the clip, and the question is, why do people lie on camera?
And it's weird. I rewatched some of that series, and it is so apparent that no matter what you did, no matter what y'all did, we just had an advantage.
Yeah.
I think too, you know what, looking back on that team that I think was so important, because I talk about this all the time now, Jameer Nelson could shoot threes out of pick and roll.
Yeah.
It's an important thing.
It is a very important thing for many reasons.
First of all, it unlocks everyone's offensive game. If you can shoot threes off the dribble, it unlocks your game, right?
Absolutely.
I rewatched Game 5 the other day, and
And you're lying. You didn't rewatch the series, and you're lying. You didn't watch Game 5. And you're lying. You didn't have a huge advantage over the Cleveland Cavaliers because that was a 66-win team who had a bunch of three-point shooters, and Jameer Nelson didn't play in that damn series. He missed all 6 games, and he was replaced by Rafer Alston in the starting lineup, who could not shoot threes, who could not shoot threes off the dribble, who could not do the things that Jameer Nelson did to open up the offense. And JJ lied about it, and LeBron swore by it, and I don't get it because you edit the show. It's not live. It's not like us. They don't have the cojones to go live.
Right.
Okay, the cojones, all right? They don't have that.
Right.
We do. We're live. They edit the damn show. So you're telling me LeBron James, who has an eidetic memory and super basketball IQ and remembers everything, and press conferences after the game tells you every single play that happened for the fourth quarter on, every single play he can remember. JJ Redick, who went back and watched the series just recently and went back and watched Game 5 recently, and then you have editors and fact checkers and researchers, and they aired that. Why? How? Please tell me. Please.
I have no answer for you, Tone. And I'm sure that, it's for entertainment purposes, but I mean, I can't blatantly lie when everybody who watched that series, everybody who knows for a fact, Jameer Nelson did not play in the Eastern Conference Championship, or did he play in the finals? So, I mean, why? And I know that, by the way. It's not like I'm not aware that Jameer Nelson didn't play. I know for a fact he didn't play, and you were on a team with him, and he didn't play.
And let's be honest. In that series, JJ Redick had a great view because he only played 10 minutes. He went 1 for 2 from 3. So what did he do the rest of those games? He was watching. So he should have known who the hell was on the court and not on the court, because you were sitting there watching the damn thing in real time. And then you said you went and did it. And so to say they didn't have a chance, Cleveland didn't have any spacing. I don't know if you know this or not. And I don't have this as a visual to show you, so I'll just have to tell you. And I know you don't like this team. I know you think this was fool's gold, but the 09 Cavaliers were 66-16, the number 1 seed in the NBA, 39-2 at home. They had the first overall net rating, 4th offensive rating, 3rd defensive rating. He said there was no spacing. They shot the 3rd most threes. They were 2nd in 3-point percentage, 4th in true shooting percentage. Mo Williams was 43.6% from 3. Wally Zerbiak, a name you brought up a while ago, was 41.1%. Pavlokovic was 41%. West was 39.9%, and Gibson 38.2%. So they had people who could. Now, did they do it as well as they should have in the series? No. However, when you bring up one of the keys was Jameer Nelson for that team, and you're talking, and people say, well, he didn't directly say Jameer Nelson played. Hold on. He said you couldn't beat us. You had no answers for us. And one of the key factors was we had Jameer Nelson who could do this. I'm sorry, you're connecting the dots pretty well if you ask me. Jameer Nelson didn't play.
He did play in the finals. No,
he didn't. He did not play those 6 games.
No, he didn't play. He didn't play the whole playoffs. He only played in the finals. That was it.
Okay.
He did not play.
I'll tell you right now who played. Dwight Howard played 232 minutes. Rashard Lewis played 252 minutes. Hito Turkoglu played 246 minutes. Beatrice played 171 minutes. Rafer Alston started all 6 games, played 200 minutes. Courtney Lee started all 6 games, played 189 minutes. Anthony Johnson played 81. Gortat played 65. Tony Battle played 20 minutes. And JJ Redick played 10 minutes. 1 for 2, as I mentioned, from 3 of 4 from the field, though. Congratulations, JJ Redick. Notice I did not say Jameer Nelson. So I always wonder, how how does it go through that high production value? Two guys who know the game of listen, I'm very open about how smart JJ Redick and LeBron are about knowing the game of basketball.
Right.
You got two guys who know the game of basketball. We're both in that series.
Right.
You can see that's a very high production level show. I wish we had a setup
Right.
like that.
They get it. They definitely have it together. I'm thinking to myself, I mean, because they lost Jameer Nelson. They lost him in February, and he didn't play again until the NBA Finals. So I'm thinking my only theory is,
did you forget what year it was?
It was if I'm not mistaken, Tone, the only thing that I can think of, maybe they were talking about how they played in the regular season. That's the only thing I'm thinking, because because again, he didn't play the entire playoffs. He didn't come back until the finals.
His last game of the season was February 2nd in Dallas, and then didn't play again
till the finals.
Till the finals.
Till the NBA Finals. He didn't play again. So I'm thinking to myself, well, could JJ and James be talking about when they saw him in the regular season? Because just for the record, Orlando owned Cleveland that year. That's why I say that they were fool's gold, because they got owned during that regular season by the better teams in the league. Owned. San Antonio, the Celtics, Orlando. I think the Lakers beat them twice, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Lakers beat them twice that year. Like, I thought and I still stand on that logic. They were 100% fool's gold. 100% they were. So
and in the playoffs, let's be clear, he didn't start any of the 5 games in the finals. Right. Excuse me, played 18 minutes a game. It wasn't. But I mean,
rotation guard. That's what he was.
We dominated you until what, the All-Star break, February 2nd. So he didn't even play the second half of the season. So even if they did, let me just check, because again, I want to. When I see stuff like this, it drives me nuts, because it makes it look. It makes it. I'm not saying it is. It makes it look bad, like you're trying to be dishonest. Because when you put out information like that, that you know better, that's
a lie. That's what. And just unfortunately, a lot of people don't know the difference between a lie and misspeaking. Like when you intentionally know something,
sure,
and you know for a fact that it's not true, and you say it anyway. That's a lie.
I was recording a TikTok, right? And I said, we were talking about people getting drafted in their junior year. No. People getting drafted in their junior, being invaded here. Good night, guys.
Love you.
People getting drafted out of their junior year. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's a lot of players that got drafted in their junior year out of college and then went back for their senior year. And back in 1950 until 1975, if you went back to school, the team that drafted you as a junior lost all your rights. And then you could get redrafted. And there were guys that got drafted twice. And I said a perfect example of that is Sam Jones, who was originally drafted by the Minneapolis Lakers as a junior, went back and played one more year, and then got drafted by the Celtics. And then someone had said, well, what about Bird? And I said, Bird was drafted by the Celtics as a junior, but in 1975 they changed the rule that you could you didn't lose the rights right away when they went back to college. You had one full year to sign them, and that's why when they drafted him in 78 or 79 as a junior, 78, as a junior, they had the full year. So after he played that one more year of college, the Celtics still owned his rights and they signed him, and that's how he stayed and became a Celtic rookie in 79, 78. And I said, and then they abolished that rule. You couldn't, in 79, they abolished it that you could not draft juniors. But what I said was, and that's how he remained a Laker. So was I lying to say Bird became a Laker? No, I misspoke. And I said, that's me misspeaking.
Right. Those two things are not the same. It'd be different. It'd be different if you said Bird, the way he became a Celtic is Red Auerbach drafted him and the rules stayed the same, when you know for a fact that they didn't stay the same. You know for a fact that Red Auerbach took advantage of a loophole in the rules and he was able to draft Bird and keep Bird. But if you went on and said that Bird was talking about going back to school and Red Auerbach drafted him anyway, okay, well, you are blatantly lying now, and we know you lying. That's just not true. And you know you lying.
So when they say Jameer Nelson was the difference, like Cleveland played them 4 times that year?
Yes.
And so Jameer Nelson gets hurt. Cleveland plays them 2 more times. Once at home, Cleveland wins. Once in Orlando, Orlando wins. Jameer Nelson had nothing to do with it. And then in the finals, they play 6 games, and Jameer Nelson isn't there. So bringing him up and saying he was part of the reason why your team couldn't get by us, it's just so, it's not even disingenuous. It's just a flat out blatant lie. And that's
And
the
you
stuff.
know that.
So you should know. If not, no offense, I don't want anyone to lose their job, but you need to fire your entire research staff. Right? Like it blows.
There's no way that they don't know that though, Tone. That's the diff. And we don't even
know
here's
that,
the thing.
and they're allowing this to be out there because people say, "Oh, okay, that's the reason. That's the excuse." That bothers me more.
But here's the thing, Tone. We don't need a research staff. I was there. I don't need to get a research staff. I was on the crew. We don't have to go fact check or anything like that. I was actually there. I was in the NBA Finals. I was in the Eastern Conference Championship. I was in the Eastern Conference Semifinals. I was there. So because I was there, I would know if Jameer Nelson was there because I was there. I'm not going to forget that. And you know for a fact he wasn't there. You didn't have him the whole time.
I know for a fact he wasn't there, and I know JJ Redick was only on the court for 10 minutes, so he should have known who was on the bench with him.
Right. You know for a fact that he was there. So
and the worst part is, I've recently rewatched that series. I just watched Game 5. No, you didn't.
That makes it even worse.
No, you didn't. You're lying. You're blatantly lying. And I get it. He was interviewing for a head coaching job. I get it. And he got it. Congratulations. But you don't have to lie to do it.
That makes it even worse.
A couple more super chats, and then I've sent out the link. Sir Darko, yo, OG. Yep. I heard you speak highly of Enrique Freeman.
Yes.
And my Pacers picked him up. Do you think that that's a good pick for us?
I do think it's a great pick for you guys. I think that this is a guy who a lot of people don't talk about. If they talk about him at all, a lot of people don't talk about him. On top of them not talking about him, he is one of the better 4-year players in the country. I mean, Tone, this guy cleans glass. I mean, he led the I believe it's the MAC because he went to Akron. He led the conference in rebounding 4 straight years, Tone. He's almost a 20 and 10 guy for his career. He was player of the year in the league, 6'7", like 6'7". He's raw in terms of his ability to knock shots down. Like we got to work on that, but I feel like we could fix that. I don't feel like that's something that I don't feel like that's something that's a big deal. A lot of that stuff we can fix. I think teams made a mistake passing on him. I think because of the glass cleaner that he is, because of the defender that he is, because of the dirty work guy he is, I think he's going to make an immediate impact on Indiana if they actually give him an opportunity to do so.
Marcus says, "Hey, chill. Watch VJ Edgecombe, incoming freshman for Bahamas, dropping back-to-back 20 balls in the Olympic qualifiers.
What school is he going to?
Let us know. What school is he going to?
Yeah, what school is he going to?
I do actually love when people say, "Hey, watch this guy," because then I go back and watch, and 9 times out of 10, it's the player's nice.
Like
the player's nice.
The chat was the one. This was when I probably like when I first got on TikTok. They were the ones who turned me on to Herb Jones. Yo, chill. Yo, you gotta pay attention. You gotta pay attention to Herb Jones. I'm like, who's Herb Jones? He went to Alabama. New Orleans got him in the 2nd round. I was like, all right, I'm gonna start paying attention to Herb Jones. You know, I'm a Herb Jones guy.
And now you're a Herb Jones guy.
All right. And I'm a Herb Jones guy.
Yeah. We got Tim Hobbs.
What up?
What's up, fellas?
What up?
Y'all hear me?
Yeah. You hot.
What's going on? I got a question. For y'all. So if you had to, because I was arguing with a buddy of mine. For the next 5 seasons, how many players are you willing to take over Anthony Edwards today
Today,
for the
Mhm.
next 5 seasons?
not many. Not
Maybe
many.
3.
I came up with 5.
Who's
my
your 5?
5
Well, tell me who's your 5?
my 5 is Jokic, Luka, Wemby,
Mm.
Giannis, and who was my other 5?
Tatum?
It's between Shea and Tatum.
I don't know if I'm. And Tone, you're gonna hate me for this.
No,
but
I'm with you on Giannis. He might be, sadly to say, he might be on the decline.
I don't like Tone. When I see non-contact injuries, they bother me, man. They
Yep.
make me nervous. They do. And to see a non-contact injury like that, and for a guy in Giannis who his game is predicated on flight and athleticism, don't get me wrong, he looks great in the Olympics. He looks fantastic in the Olympics. But am I watching this guy and am I seeing the beginning of the end, or was that just a blip on the screen? I don't know yet.
I think it was just a blip, but he is kind of creeping into that category, Uncle Chill. That
I don't
because
know,
he has
man.
been injured the last 2 playoffs, so he get
Well, the
injured
first one was a
again.
fluke, Tim. The first, what you call it? I mean, Kevin Love took a charge and he fell on his back. So
Yeah.
I think that was a bit of and he came back and played. By the way, he came back and played, and he was pretty awesome. The non-contact injury with the calf is the one that bothers me. That's the one that bothers me.
All right, and then I got one more question for y'all because I don't think I heard y'all talk about this yet. So, who y'all think should start for Team USA?
I just answered this question earlier today. James at the 1, Curry at the 2, Tatum at the 3, Anthony Davis at the 4, Joel Embiid at the 5.
I kind of like that.
Yep.
I kind of like that.
That's who I'm rolling with. And my closing lineup is my front court is going to look like Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, and Bam on the front line, and Drew Holiday and James in the backcourt. And if we're smoking somebody, I'm going to take James off the floor and I'm going to put Tyrese Halliburton in as a distributor.
So no Anthony Edwards. Okay, I feel it, Chill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting Halliburton at the 1, Anthony Edwards at the 2, Jason Tatum at the 3, Kawhi Leonard Anthony Davis at the 4, and Bam Adebayo.
Bam.
I want these guys to come in off the bench. I don't need them starting.
All right,
I don't need them starting.
It was good talking to y'all, man. I'm gonna catch up.
All right,
with
Tim.
y'all.
Know where you at? All right, brother.
Mike G in the building.
What up? Mike check.
Mike G, going
Hey,
once.
what's up, guys? Yeah, sorry.
What up?
I was muted for a second.
All good.
No, I just wanted to hear your kind of obviously Fluent's very knowledgeable on the Raptors situation.
Fluent?
I want to feel your issues.
He's fluent. Tone is fluent.
Yeah,
on the Raptors,
yeah.
is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
But
can get
no,
that.
just I think they're heading in a right direction, right?
Yes, they are.
Like they are starting to build up around Scotty Barnes, which maybe they should have done that a year earlier. But I think not just like trading your players off when things don't work instantly, bought Masai some cachet with our future prospects. Maybe he's not willing to kind of throw them aside once things kind of look iffy. And I think there is some kind of like investment in reputation and how you like are seen in the league, right?
Brought Masai some cachet. Tone, how you feel about that?
You know how I feel about Masai.
I do. That's why I'm asking.
I think he's the most overrated GM in the league because he made one good move for Kawhi Leonard that worked, and it could have failed miserably, but it worked. To your point, you know, when you say stuff like he should have started rebuilding a year earlier, well, yeah, that's a big mistake on his part because he should have started rebuilding a year earlier and he didn't. And by not rebuilding a year earlier, he put the team back 5 years because as good as Scotty Barnes can be, he can't be the best player on a championship team. Now, again, it depends on what you want to do. You want to sell tickets, sell playoffs, sell stuff? Okay.
Do we know that though, Tone?
I know that. Yeah, I know that for a fact. Scotty Barnes can't be the best player on a championship team. 100% know it for a fact. I like the Davion Mitchell pickup. I really do.
I do like that.
I don't like their draft pick in the first pick of the second round when they could have had Flip, who I think is a much better fit for this team. And they went with, I forget who.
Jonathan Mogbo.
I think Flip would have been a better.
Jamal Shed was 45, and then Ulrich Comche was 57.
Going into another season with, Jakob Poeltl as your starting center is a problem.
How do you feel about Grady Dick, Tone, moving forward?
Grady Dick is going to be our Tyler Hero.
Okay.
So if you like Tyler Hero, you're going to love that. If you don't, you're going to hate it. And I don't. I think Miami should have gotten rid of Tyler Hero a couple of years ago. So are they moving in the right direction finally? Yes. But I think he put them back. It's going to be a 3 or 5 year process now instead of what could have been a 2-year process. But yeah, they're young. They're going to go through some, but I'm looking up and down the roster, right? And what's sticking out to me? Jakob Poeltl, Garrett. They brought back Garrett Temple, who's 137 years old. I get it. You need a veteran.
Tony just turned 80. Stop.
It's okay. We talked about the draft picks. Although I do like Jacoby Walter. Who else I got? Kelly Olynyk.
Kelly O.
Okay. I already said I like
Canada.
I don't think Bruce. They picked up Bruce Brown's contract, but I believe that's going to be a trade piece because it's an expiring contract, and he has some value to a championship contending team. Grady Dick, I don't like. I think you agree.
You don't like Grady? Wow.
I just said he's Tyler Hero. What would you say, RJ Barrett? You like RJ Barrett, right?
I do.
I remember correctly. You like RJ Barrett? I'm not as high.
No. Like, I think he's productive for the number you have him at, like 20-something million.
They just re-signed.
And his off-on numbers look really good regarding offense. He really did push the Raptors offense last year for sure when he was in.
He did a lot, but in the fourth quarter, he wanted to be a closer. And I think he struggled in that role because he's not that guy. And that's not a knock against him or his game. It's just he's not that guy. And I think if he understands that he's not that guy and he steps back and becomes more of a facilitator at that time of game and understanding that it's someone else's job, I think that makes him. I think then that makes him more valuable. What bothered me last year is he's like, well, I'm going to do it, and I don't think he's that guy who can do it in late game situations. But again,
that's fair to say.
I think they're headed in the right direction. I just think they pushed themselves back a couple of years when they could have done it earlier. But hey, he wanted to run it back.
No,
so
I think Darko is a really good kind of stable mentor for Scotty and some of the younger guys to maybe help speed along that development and maybe win some games early and kind of getting the momentum. Like, our last championship was actually built off us developing pieces and then trading them for other pieces that fit, right? So if we're still continuously doing that, and then we go and trade for a guy that is a number one, right? Or something like that, right? That could still work out in the finite details of everything if we continuously kind of build up these guys and maybe group a package together for some kind of disgruntled star, obviously, or something like that, right?
Or how about this for an idea? How about the guys you're building up? How about you hold on to them? How about that for an idea?
Well, because you need a superstar to win in this league, and there's nobody on their roster that is a superstar.
Well, see, Tone, that's where the divide is between you and me.
Quickly was using superstar words. He was saying Scotty is a superstar talent.
I'm telling you, man.
He's a teammate.
I think you're wrong about Scotty, man. I do, Tone. I think you're wrong.
He has the IQ.
I hope I'm wrong about Scotty. But remember we talked about what that star thing is that you look for, that it?
Yeah.
I don't see it in Scotty. And we've agreed you can't normally develop it. So I don't see it.
Have it or you don't.
Now, if the spark hits and he becomes it, awesome, because I love Scotty. I love his game. I love him as a person. Remember he was the first rookie since Magic Johnson, and you know how Magic Johnson's my favorite player all the time.
Yep.
He was the first rookie ever since Magic Johnson to start at every single position. Like, he's versatile. He does so much. I just don't see that it yet.
Yeah.
So I'd love for it to be him. So in my mind today, they don't have that superstar. So they're going to have to trade someone to bring in that piece, that one. That was the thing about Kawhi. They brought in a guy that, hey, we need one bucket. Just give him the ball. He'll get it. And I don't think I don't think that was I don't think anybody else could do that. And that's what you need. You need that person who can get that stop or make that last chance. Mike G's AirPods died, so I'll still answer the question. So that was kind of the problem with Scotty. And so they will have to bring in a superstar from the outside. And that's okay. That's what Toronto's had to do. They're going to have to deal with it. I just don't see that person on their roster. That's all. Are you okay going long, by the way? Let me ask you first.
We got a couple. We can go. We can go.
The hoop historians are taking the night off tonight, so we can go a little bit long. Andre,
what's up, brother?
How we doing? Let me get myself organized. I'm not muted here. Okay.
No, you hot. You hot.
Good being, so let's finish your time.
I just want you to know, since you did that, let me just, before you ask your question, that's my favorite part of. I know this is sound horrible. That's my favorite part of your show. Is
the beginning.
The first 30 seconds when you're like,
getting the live, yeah, because I'm not a tech.
Is the Instagram going? Is the YouTube up? Right. Yeah. I watched that part.
These are breakthrough moments for me. You can
see I love it.
I got a lot of takes. I'm not a huge tech guy, having somebody behind. So just having the live streams has been a game breaker for me. But Fluent, I'm a little bit befuddled that you're not more of a Masai guy. I mean, you're right there embedded. You're right there embedded, but I have a lot of respect for Masai. Obviously, there was the Grand Slam home run with Kawhi, but he got a lot for OG. Now, OG is great for my New York Knicks in terms of how we're going to compete for a championship next year, but we had to give up quickly, and I wasn't happy about that. RJ's from Canada, okay? So RJ,
I played against his dad.
Right. So that I love these, the reason I was all about Jalen Brunson and all that star nonsense, and I was, 100%, 1,000% then and now, is he's a New Yorker as well as being a grinder and a worker. Okay. So fit matters a lot. And with Toronto, I'm just going back from the original conversation, Cooper Flagg, that would be a tremendous landing spot for him. He's from Maine. First of all, he's from the North Country. He's and I'm coming from the Commonwealth. We're real proud. We got Cooper Flagg coming up next year, and then AJ DeBansa, who's from Brockton, City of Champions. Shout out to Rocky Marciano. Shout out to marvelous Marvin Hagler. He's a Brockton kid. You know what I mean? So as he's ascended now, he's gone out west, and So anyway, us in the we might have 2 straight number 1 picks coming from New England, but with Toronto. I just Ujiri, not just in terms of what he does, his ability, he had to make some incredibly tough decisions that we've forgotten. We forgot that he got rid of Dwayne Casey after he won Coach of the Year, just because it wasn't working to bring in Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is a tremendous coach. The reason I have confidence in the Philadelphia 76ers.
Hold on. Pause there for a second. You have the Coach of the Year. Is that the reason that the Raptors won? Is because they flipped him for Nick Nurse, or is it the fact that they brought in Kawhi Leonard? Hold on, and LeBron James left the East? Dwayne Casey could have just as easily won the championship as Nick Nurse.
Well, I got to push back on you.
Could have.
Dwayne Casey has not had success since he left Toronto.
Don't forget. Well, hold on. He went to Detroit. Stop it. Red Auerbach wouldn't have had success in Detroit. Phil Jackson wouldn't have had success in Detroit. But don't forget, Dwayne Casey, it's not like Nick Nurse came out of nowhere. Nick Nurse was still on his staff. He was running his defense. So could have Dwayne Casey now with Nick Nurse as his assistant and Kawhi Leonard and the departure of LeBron James said, hey, let's add some more of those defensive strategies in, because now that we have Kawhi Leonard, we can do more. And that team is actually even better. Since we're talking hypotheticals, 100% it could have.
Point taken. And that's a Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr type of situation, whereas Mark Jackson could have won those championships had you given the opportunity. Just back to Toronto again. I just feel like, I put Masai Ujiri up there with Sam Presti, meaning like he continues to hit. Like Sam Presti, he gets the right head coach, then he drafts the right players, and then they're competitive. So if you guys end up landing in this next draft, I mean, if it's Cooper Flagg, that's just the supernova, because you put him with a guy like Scotty Barnes. Now you have your 2 guys. Fluent, I'm a little surprised you don't like Tyler Hero with the Miami Heat in terms of what they're going to be next year with Terry Rose.
I don't like Tyler Hero as a starter. No. I like him where he was his best was coming off the bench. That's the type of player he is.
Especially you, Andre.
Grady
Being from the Northeast, you should be the consummate rotation, dirty work, spark plug guy, and that's who Tyler Hero really is.
True, I agree. The issue with Tyler Hero is he's not built for Miami. He's always injured. Okay, that's my real thing with Tyler Hero. Pat Riley, 3-hour practices. We have, guys that are just like tough. He consistently gets injured when they need him most. But just, with that health, I'm high on Miami. And in terms of how they develop guys, I think Terry Rozier is going to be great. And so that Grady Dick, coming from Kansas, if he could be Tyler Hero for you in Toronto, I think that would be. But long story, not so long. I'm still I haven't recovered Chilltown from the St. Anthony's connection. So don't think that me and you right now, in terms of what you said to me,
Andre, just so you know, I don't know if you know this, but I'm dying on that hill. We had the best team in the country my senior year. We beat 5 teams in the top 15. We beat 4 teams in the top 10. We beat 3 teams in the top 5. And we were undefeated in the state of New Jersey. We had the best team in the country that year.
I have to ask. There was the team with Terry DeHare, Jimmy Walker, and Bobby Hurley.
Jerry Walker, yep.
Jerry Walker. 3 McDonald's All-Americans.
Jerry didn't make the McDonald's All-American team. Terry didn't make the McDonald's All-American team. Just Bobby. Bobby was the only one who made the McDonald's All-American team.
I'm glad you clarified this. So now, now we can stronger argument for you. But that was thinking of that team. And by the way, Bobby Hurley, as you know, split the MVP of the McDonald's All-American game with Shaquille O'Neal. You want to talk about somebody? You want to talk about Bobby Hurley? And if you stood next to Bobby Hurley, you would have no idea. Okay, yeah. Fluent, you let me go. Just one quick. You know what I mean? Team USA. When they were playing the original Dream Team, they got stuck in traffic and they couldn't move. And it's hot. Well, it's not hot because you know what I mean. But John Stockton got off the bus and just walked to the arena, and because he couldn't take it, and there was no issues. Bobby Hurley, people just standing next to this guy, you'd have no idea who he is, and not just a 6 foot, not thin. But that damn St. Anthony's tradition, I've taken a lot of your time. I'm really happy for Danny getting a deal from UConn. A lot of incentives there.
I love it too.
So he's going to get his money. People, and you knew he wasn't going to the Lakers. You knew he wasn't going.
I knew it.
I told you.
You knew he wasn't going. If anybody that knows anything about the Hurleys, he's not leaving.
Tone said it. Tone said he wasn't going. So
okay, so. Guys, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, Andre. Good to talk to you, brother.
Go Raptors.
Yep. Good to talk
I don't like the makeup. I'm just saying.
Tone is real critical of.
I'm not critical. I'm real.
Yeah.
I'm real.
Those two things are not the same thing. Being critical and being honest.
Telling the truth isn't. You're a hater. No, it's the truth.
No, it's not the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. What up?
What up, Marcus?
What's up, Jill? What's up, y'all? Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. I watched like some of your highlights, like when you were playing before, bro. You was nice as hell.
Like, I could play a little bit.
I wonder, like,
I wasn't bad. I could play a little bit.
Who you get like recruited to, like for like college?
My I didn't pass the SAT my senior year of high school, so I went to junior college. And my freshman year of junior college, I was
you should have just called me up. I would have wrote that for you.
Man, that would have been great.
I scored a 1450.
Yeah, that would have been great. My freshman year in my freshman year in junior college, we ended up winning. We were the only team in the history of the school at that time to go undefeated in Region 3. I was first team all Region 3. I ended up making an all tournament team in Kansas, and I was a top 25 player in the country. After my freshman year in junior college, I was, and I went to visit Xavier when they had Pete Gillen was the head coach of Xavier. Dude that played for the Trailblazers, Brian Grant, he was my host. I did not want to go to Rutgers. I didn't. Rutgers was on me really hard. I did not want to go to.
Why didn't you want to go to Rutgers?
The only school in the North. There was only 2 schools in the Northeast that I wanted to go to, and that was St. John's and Seton Hall. That was it. I didn't want to go I didn't want to go to any other school. And on top of that, it's not like it is today where, Tone, you know how these college teams, all of them are on TV. It wasn't like that back then. So you could play at a mid-major Division I school and be on TV and people could see you. Back then, like if you weren't playing major Division I in a major Division I league, nobody was never really going to see you. So I felt like I had to play major Division I basketball instead of like I was getting recruited by like the University of Boston, Northeastern. Let's see, the University of Vermont was on me, Rutgers was on me, because I was in the Northeast, and I felt like if I couldn't go to St. John's or Seton Hall, like I was going out west. Then Arizona State was on me, and the assistant coach at Arizona State, he ended up taking the Utah State job. That's how I ended up at Utah State. And Utah State at that time, they were in the Big West with UNLV, who had just won a national championship 2 years prior to that. So we had a bunch of games on TV. So
TV games, yeah.
It wasn't a good experience playing at Utah State, but that's how I ended up there.
You probably should never went to Utah State.
No, to be honest with you, if I had a choice to do it all over again, the great thing that came out of it, I did graduate. You know, I had a beautiful daughter, but I'm not sure that I would have went there if I had a choice, if I had a chance to do it all over again. But I made a decision based on what was going on in my life at the time, so it sounded like a good idea. It had a 10,000 seat arena. It was in a good league. I had just come back from. I feel like I'm ranting, Tone, to be quite honest with you.
No, go ahead.
I had just come back off of the summer of 1994. I was playing in the Jersey Shore League. I was in the backcourt with Bobby Hurley. My confidence was through the roof. I was only going to play one season at Utah State. I was going to average. I had it all planned out. I was going to average 14 to 16 a game. I was going to make the all-league team in the Big West, and I was putting my name in the draft. I was out.
Bro had a plan.
That was my plan. That was 100% my plan. But it became something completely different. It was the only place that I didn't get to play. That was the worst part about it. I didn't get to. We had games where I wasn't even playing. I'm like, I didn't come all the way. I had to sit on the bench. What the hell? And it's not like it is today where you have the transfer portal.
Just like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You would have had to redshirt a year, go somewhere else. It was a process.
It's not like it is today. Mm-mm.
And didn't you play in the summer league? Didn't you? Or
I did.
Like
I did. I played in 2000 with a bunch of free agents. I was on the team with. I don't know if you remember him, Ricky Davis, that played for Charlotte, played for the Miami. I was on the team with him. We played in the summer league that's in, like I said, it's in Vegas. It was in Long Beach. The Lakers was in it. We played against the Trailblazers summer league team, and I got busy. Yeah, I did. I got busy. So
what was that experience like? just like it ain't like exactly NBA, but it's like kind of like an NBA feeling because it is the NBA orchestra.
Sure. I mean, at that time, I was in my early 20s. I was in my mid 20s, and I was chasing the dream. And at that time, to see the guys that were there and to be around that and to feel like I was on my way. The game that we played against the Trailblazers, I wasn't even supposed to play that night. I was actually there to watch Roderick because he was playing with the Trailblazers. He was on the Trailblazers team. Yeah. So I'm in the stands, Tone. I'm just hanging out. But Tone, this as a baller.
And for those that don't know, that's Roderick Rhodes, who went to the University of Kentucky, who was that's my guy. That's both our guys.
He was on the Trailblazers team. I'm in the stands with flip-flops and shorts on. But Tone, as you know, as a baller, I had a pair of sneakers in the car just in case.
Always ready.
Just in case. And a guy that he knew me from Utah State, his crew, he had a free agent team, his crew, they were going to play the Trailblazers, and they were short. And he recognized me from when I was in college. And he was like, yo, do you want to play? I'm like, me? He's like, yeah, you want to play? I went to the car, got my sneakers, and started rocking. Got busy.
And it was just history from there.
It was a great experience, sure.
Yeah, that's dope. What was the competitiveness like when you was, growing up playing basketball? I think your game was like a slash and mid-ranger?
That's where I played.
More of that?
More of the guys that I was.
You posted up a lot, no?
I played in the post. I played on the wing. I was a two guard, but I was the two guard of that era. My game was 15 to 18 feet. I could shoot the three. Yeah. My stuff was my game was a lot of 2 dribble pull-ups.
Quick off the dribble pull-ups.
Right, a lot of one-on-one stuff. I was a pretty good one-on-one player. I was a real good transition player. I was good around the basket. I could finish in traffic around bigger guys.
You were fast, bro. You were fast.
I mean, I could play a little bit. In terms of the competition, I mean, I went to the high school that I went to. It was one of the best high schools in the country. So I was very aware of what competition was. Very aware of what competition was. And when I was in junior college, my team, we finished in the top 10 in the country my freshman year. So I was very aware of what competition was.
Cool. All right.
Yep.
Well, that's all I really want to ask. I know people. I don't ever see nobody talking about you, asking questions about this. That's all I wanted to ask because I was curious when I watched your highlights and stuff.
I can play a little bit. So, not bad. Yeah.
Bro, you don't give yourself enough credit, man. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, man. You don't give yourself enough credit. You was nice. Like, you was real nice.
He's modest. Don't let him fool you about how good he was. If you look just to the left of Chill, you'll see me on the bench with crutches. I appreciate you.
All right, yo.
All right,
thanks, Marcus. AAA.
What up?
Yo.
What up?
Going on, y'all?
If you need service or car repair, call AAA.
I got my AAA car right now.
Y'all gotta stop playing so much, man. It's 10:15. Y'all gotta stop playing so much.
Don't stop. With this dude over here, don't stop. I can tell you that right now.
Look, a play fiend. Yep.
Don't stop with him, yo. It's always on tilt.
Two things, right? So first, Fluent, I gotta tell you, I just want to say thank you for your TikTok and how you just debunk all the nonsense. Like I love it. Just keep going. Just keep going. Because Go James Kingdom, it's really like a cult, man. Like his word.
Hold on. Wait. Let me time out for a second. Because you encourage these guys. So let me quickly say, can you believe he said to me, they're the most unbiased page on TikTok? Can you believe
it? And he's dead serious. He's dead serious. And his followers think that his word is bond. I'm like, he makes up stuff and they just run with it.
You're called James King.
Yo, it's crazy. They sit here and tell you, yo, Fluent, you don't do this, that. Fluent, you don't do this, that, and the third. And then when you debunk it, they're silent. You don't see nothing else in the comments.
He did challenge me to go watch a game and pick out all the steals, and I did it. And they're like, "Oh," but anyway,
it's crazy.
I do like. Let me be clear. I do like Johnny. Is that his name?
Yeah, very entertaining. Very entertaining.
I don't know about the other guy who always looks like he's mad at everybody.
Yeah,
I don't know his deal is, I don't know him. But I like Johnny. Johnny's cool. I like him. We talk. We laugh. It's all in good fun. There's no hate. Like sometimes like. Chill and I have talked about this where like me, I think more than you will get like death threats and because I tend to poke the bear a little bit more than you do.
I love it. Everybody loves it.
he and I get each other, so it's fun. But yes, there are yes.
Yeah. And Chill, what I had to ask you, because we got the Jersey connection. I'm in Bergen County. You over there in Hudson County.
Yeah.
Who's your top 3 players from Jersey?
Top 3 players from Jersey.
Yeah. All time.
The best player that I ever played against from Jersey City, his name is Darryl Wilson. He's the best player that I ever played against. He went to Ferris.
Ferris kind of rough. They be tripping over there. He's
the best player that I ever played against in Jersey. Let's see. Top 3. So Darryl Wilson, David Rivers.
Not just your era though. Not just your era.
That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about from what I remember.
Okay.
Darryl Wilson, David Rivers. That third one.
What about that guy from Camden?
So the whole state.
You don't put the guy from Camden up there?
You talking about Wagner?
Yeah.
Didn't he score 100 in a game?
100. At Camden. You know what people don't realize since you from Jersey, Camden is, everybody knows the public school, obviously, it's a town. But public schools wasn't, again, St. Anthony and the parochials were the big dogs back then.
They was.
For somebody to come out of Camden and win a state championship at the RAC, that was a big deal. That was
my senior year. My senior year, Camden was in the top 15 in the country.
You see what I'm saying?
We saw them out in San Diego. They were a top 15 team in the country. I remember them.
Y'all played them out there?
We played. We both went out to a tournament in San Diego. I remember them.
And just one more thing, funny that you mentioned Pete Gillian. When I was in 8th grade, he started recruiting me, but I stopped growing. I still got this was who was playing in 03? Roger Mason was still there, I think, in 03, right?
Yeah.
Or he might have been graduating, or about or just went to the draft. So it was funny that you mentioned that we had something in common. But that's all. I just want to show y'all love, Fluent. Keep doing your thing, Chill.
Yes, sir.
Repping Jersey, like you said, take it light, but take it, right?
Be easy. Be easy. Good to talk to you, AAA. All right, brother.
All right, have a good one, man.
Later. No doubt.
Let me ask you a quick question. When someone asks you who's the greatest player from Jersey, do you immediately go to like guys you played with in high school or high school game, or like, because I noticed like you guys didn't say like Rick Barry, Shaq, Cat, like you didn't say any of like guys who became stars, superstars in the NBA.
Right. So Shaq ended up moving. I was around 14 or so when Shaq moved to Texas. So because he was supposed to go to St. Anthony actually.
Yeah.
He ended up moving. Cat, I mean, they wanted, to be honest with you, Cat, Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
I forget sometimes that Cat is from Jersey. I forget that sometime. And Cat was serious. If I'm not mistaken, Cat, I think that
Bam Adebayo.
I don't remember Bam.
Tom Henson. He played for the Celtics in the 60s.
Tommy Heinsohn. Tommy
Heinsohn. You know, I'm not good with that.
He from Jersey City.
Yeah, so there's a lot of Jersey players, like, and I don't know if like, is it because they left? Is it because we forget them, or do you just immediately go to like?
Well, a lot of times I don't just forget them, or I kind of have a tendency to like remember, because I feel like the era that I played in was the golden era of like in Hudson County. To be honest with you, I felt like it was the golden era of basketball. So. So I'm a little bit biased, like between when I played and like right before I played. I don't really go back that far to the 70s, but like Joe Spinarco, who went to Duke, and who else am I thinking of? He played for the Nets. Like Joe Spinarco played for Duke, and he went to Duke, played for the Nets. My uncle, Ron Womack, went to Ferris High School. So it was plenty of guys, man. That was
and Triple A was saying people who won in Jersey. So I was like, because there's guys, right? There's Mike Bibby, J.R. Smith, David West.
Yep.
Like there's man, I didn't realize how many, and Andrew Bynum. There's a lot of NBA players.
Andrew Bynum from South Jersey. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's
a lot of guys.
Jalen Brunson.
Yes, he's from New Brunswick.
Damn, and not New Brunswick, Canada. For those watching from
because his father went to Temple. So yeah.
All right. Well, Marcus threw us another $2 and told us Baylor for VJ Edgecombe. So
okay, so that's
same class as Scoop.
Right. So now I'm familiar, because a lot of times, Tony, these people will tell us like, watch this person, watch that person, but they won't tell us where you at.
Watch Bob Smith. There's 14,000 Bob Smiths.
Right. I'm like, where is he? What are you talking about? Watch this. So at Baylor, I'll definitely take it
at Baylor. All right, Tribe. Just watch the Mind the Game Nelson thing. JJ didn't say Nelson was in that series. He was just talking about the construction of the team, not a lie. Well, no, if you watched it, then you would know what he said, which was that they couldn't beat them. Yes, they were constructed, and part of that construction of the team that Cleveland couldn't get by had to do with Jameer Nelson and his ability to shoot off the dribble, which is why, right? Like, listen again to LeBron.
And it's weird. I rewatched some of that series, and it is so apparent that no matter what you did, no matter what y'all did, we just had an advantage.
Yeah.
I think too, you know what, looking back on that team that I think was so important, because I talk about this all the time now, Jameer Nelson could shoot threes out of pick and roll.
Yeah.
It's an important thing.
It is a very important thing for many reasons.
First of all, it unlocks everyone's offensive game. If you can shoot threes off the dribble, it unlocks your game, right? I rewatched Game 5 the other day, and
I've never watched the series, by the way.
You haven't?
He's never watched the series. That's interesting. So, you know, like, yeah, I cut it down because it's like a 15-minute thing. But they're clearly saying Jameer Nelson wasn't there from February. So if he's not trying to tie it into the fact that Cleveland couldn't get by them, why even bring it up? Because he didn't play from before the All-Star break. So he wasn't an important role to that team, and he wasn't part of the reason why Cleveland couldn't get by. So listen, don't get in your feelings, Tribe. You know, I don't know where you're thinking, but
I probably need to go to get some more context. I probably need to go watch more of it to understand exactly what he's talking about. Because for the record, JJ Redick didn't play in that Game 5 neither. So not only
10 minutes the whole series.
Yeah, he didn't play in that game 5 neither. So I'm just
And listen, I watched the whole thing, and I took those 2 clips out because just to show that here he say like they're tying the 2 things in together. They 1,000,000% are, because otherwise there's no point in bringing up a guy who didn't play from February, because there's all of February, because his last game was the 2nd. So February, March, April, May, June. A guy who didn't play for 5 months when they played. When did they play? In May and June, probably.
The finals was in June, so he didn't play.
Eastern Conference Finals would have been
at the end of May.
End of May. Okay.
Yep.
So end of May. So he
March,
did play
April,
5
May,
months.
almost 3 months he didn't play.
Come on.
He played in the finals. So I understand your point, Tone. Like, why are you bringing him up when he had nothing to do with the series? I understand how important he was to your crew. I understand how good he was for your crew. But he was not involved.
He wasn't involved. Like, if you want to say, look, Dwight was on another level that series, which he was. Hito Turkoglu was knocking down shots like he had a magnet in the ball. Rafer Alston came in, and although he wasn't Jameer Nelson, who could shoot threes off the dribble and unlock the offense, which helped us in the beginning of the season, he added a dynamic of kind of, a flair of attitude of, where Skip Tumalu came from. Though if he brought up Michael Pietrus, super athletic, very underrated player, Michael Pietrus, his athleticism and what he can do in the open court. Mm-hmm. If he would have said stuff like that, and he brought up their names, but the only one he specified was Jameer Nelson. Mm-hmm. And they also talked about how, again, and I told you the stats, there was nobody on that team that could spread the floor on the Cavs. And it was LeBron 1-on-5 with no spacing. Come on.
Mo Williams could shoot the 3, couldn't he?
Like, I get it. Again, he was interviewing for a job, guys. Don't fall for it. And congratulations, he got the job.
Yep.
That's all the time we have for today. In fact,
way overtime. We got paid bills. Man, we overtime. We definitely gonna get charged for this. No doubt, man.
It's a good thing our people gave us thank you for all the super chats, because that probably paid for the extra 30 minutes.
Yes, it did.
And I don't even see none of it. You get it all. No one ever asks me about my past. All right, brother.
Tony Malone. Absolutely.
I don't like to talk about it anyways.
Yes.
I'll see you next week.
Yes, you will. We will be back next week. Until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. Call your mother. I was just with my mother this weekend. Literally, I was just hanging out with my mother. So we will see you guys soon. But until then, take it light, but take it.